Easy late. Well, it looks like we have a caller here to weigh in. Is this Chuck?
Popcorn in the third is the move.
What?
You go with passive snacking after halftime.
No, it's nachos. Look, as long as there's an ice cold Dr. Pepper there to wash it down, I'm good with either. Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve.
Bowl season is upon us. Hockey and basketball are heating up. It's the most wonderful time of the year for sports. Don't miss every alley-oop, slap shot, and sideline grab with Vivid Seats. Vivid Seats celebrates fandom with rewards like free tickets, surprise seat upgrades, even annual birthday deals. And you earn rewards with every purchase. From jump ball to final buzzer, Vivid Seats has it all for the experiences that matter to you. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Give the gift of Vivid Seats this holiday season. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
It's old school card collecting with new school breaks. Davoli's House of Cards does it all. Missing a card from an old 1987 baseball top set? They probably have it. Want to join in on a live TikTok break with the hottest new cards? You can do it with Davoli's House of Cards. Stop on by, talk some sports, find your favorite cards for your kids or for you, like when you were a kid. From Trevor Lawrence rookies to Pokemon and more, Davoli's House of Cards on 210. And join their live breaks on TikTok at Davoli's House of Breaks.
Hey, it's Brian Middleton, and it's hard to believe in just 3 months I've dropped 60 pounds with Awaken 180. I'm feeling the best I have in years, and you can too. What's stopping you? Call 844-346-1800 or go online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Attention K-12 Duval teachers. Applications are now open for the Cindy Edelman Excellence in Teaching Fellowship. This includes an opportunity to fund your dream professional development experience. An ocean dive? A mountain trek? A spaceflight simulation? If you can dream it, the Edelman Fellowship might fund it. Apply by January 15th at jaxpef.org/apply.
Hey, boss, that SafeTouch security sign looks different.
Don't let it fool you. It's still the same old SafeTouch we've been avoiding all these years.
I don't like it, boss. I'm getting the sweats just being near the SafeTouch sign.
Yeah, me too. Come on, let's go find a house without SafeTouch.
Right now, activate your existing home security system with SafeTouch Security for $0 down for peace of mind with a purpose. Get 24/7 monitoring for about $1 a day and manage your system with a SafeTouch app. Call 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license EF2000195.
Naomi Mathis, Air Force veteran.
I'm Adam Greathouse, United States Army.
Greg Gatson, Colonel, United States Army.
When I came back home, I realized something wasn't right with me.
I was wounded as a battalion commander.
I thought I was going to be stuck there. I thought everyone forgot me.
Hi, I'm Congressman Buddy Carter. Let's make sure our veterans get the support they earned and deserve. Take the time to thank those who put everything on the line for us.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. Each year, AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects ranging from Americanism in our schools to supporting the Special Olympics and Boy Scouts of America. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The Jaguars are in a three-way tie with the Colts and Texans for first place in the AFC South. They'll host the Panthers Sunday, but the status of quarterback Trevor Lawrence is unclear. Will he practice tomorrow? Jaguars coach Doug Peterson.
It's a little bit early to tell. May do a little something tomorrow, but I would doubt that tomorrow. Just because it's a little bit too soon, but we'll see it as the week goes on.
Doug Peterson. Lawrence has a right shoulder sprain from the Jags' loss 2 days ago against the Buccaneers. Only 2 weekends left in the regular season. The Ravens have the best record in the league at 12-3. San Francisco now 11-4 and tied with the Eagles and Lions for the best record in the NFC. Dolphins wideout Jalen Waddle may have a high ankle sprain after Sunday's win over the Cowboys. his availability in doubt for Week 17 against the Ravens. Lakers point guard Gabe Vincent will have arthroscopic surgery on his left knee. He's expected to be out 6 to 8 weeks.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman from Unsportsmanlike. I just want to wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday and a happy new year. We'll see you in 2024. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jax presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! It really hit me.
Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Casey Kurtz. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
What's happening? Merry Christmas. Hope you had a good one. Gosh, it had to be better than Sunday. Definitely had to be better than Sunday.
I'm doing my best impression of it right now.
Yeah, it's all right. You got a lot going on, man. Doing a good job.
Sorry,
Brent
but
Martineau, Aaron
I-
Schachter.
Doesn't feel like it.
Last week of 2023, and are we witnessing an epic slide,
Everyone
epic collapse
going out with a whimper
by the Jacksonville Jaguars? So many thoughts and things, and I get it. You're angry. We usually feel the brunt of that. Listen, I'm kind of with you, man. I'm angry too.
Are you over it?
I was like
A little bit.
I was really, really disappointed on Sunday. Like, I question myself, like, I'm not disappointed the Jags lost as much as disappointed for the fans to have, like, 4 losses in a row, and really because it looked like that. Like, I don't feel like I lose many days in my life. I feel like I get the most out of a lot of days. Like, I don't think about things like that. I actually thought about on Sunday, I'm like, this has been a waste of a day. This day has just been an absolute waste. We waited around to watch this garbage. Like, this is garbage. Like, this is not the way it's supposed to be. There were 3 teams that did not show up to play this weekend. They were the Jacksonville Jaguars. I would say the Indianapolis Colts fans probably feel the same way. I didn't watch the game front to back, couldn't feel the energy there, but they got beat by a pretty average Falcons team, 29-10 in an important spot. I think on Saturday, the Cincinnati Bengals certainly were this. I mean, that was an embarrassing loss to Pittsburgh, the way the Steelers had been playing. And I get it's week to week. I fully understand that. I try to preach that. Like, what you think is going to happen doesn't usually happen. But for the Jags to be a no-show and down 20-0 and continue to do the same things wrong and then be down 30-0. Listen, the Bucs are playing good football right now, and that happens in stretches. Do I think they're a really good football team? Nah, not really. But they're playing good football at the right time, and that happens. The Jags did it last year. Like, the Jags weren't a very good football team. Let's be honest. I mean, they were 3-7 at one time. And they rallied and became a pretty good football team at the right time.
Really efficient.
Yeah,
by the end of the year.
They were good. They weren't going to probably win the Super Bowl, but they were pretty good. The Tampa Bay Bucs were probably the same thing right now. They are on a roll and playing good football, but 30-0, 30-0 in a game that you were reeling. And I think what bothered me the most is, first of all, the Jags continue to turn it over at a super high rate, which has to be just mind-boggling because Doug has said it 15 different ways, and they're still doing it.
And by the way, it's veterans and rookies and everyone in between.
All of it. Then there were missed tackles galore. And I think the biggest thing, what we thought we knew about this football team in Jacksonville was not evident on Sunday. Listen, it was evident a bit on the week prior against Baltimore. They bowed up, and their defense played better, and they held them in check. Their offense threw up all over themselves in that first half, and it took them out of the football game. Like, that's what happened. Then the fourth quarter, the dam kind of broke a little bit, and it wasn't pretty against Baltimore. The week prior, they really busted 3 plays, and again, their offense turned the football over. And then the week prior to that, it was actually an entertaining game. The kicker missed the kick. The defense had a not-so-great day. but they were like in position to win. This one, they were not in position to do anything. Like with 6 minutes to go in the first half, I tweeted, I know there's a lot more game to be played, but this game feels over. That should not happen in week 16 with first place on the line, and everything else had happened for you. The Texans lost. The Colts lost. Heck, someone had to lose, right? Pittsburgh or Cincinnati. It turned out to be Cincinnati. Looks like a more dangerous team. They lost. Later that night, the Broncos lost. And somebody else lost, I think, that you needed to lose, or could. Kansas City this weekend lost.
Oh, that's right.
Now, all that hadn't happened yet, and the Jags went out there and laid an egg. Like, it was awful. It was the worst performance, in my opinion, of the previous, well, in everybody's opinion, probably of the Doug Peterson era.
Yeah. You absolutely had to have this game.
I just can't believe it looked like that. Like, I could not process that it looked like that with so much to play for. I covered Christmas Eve in San Francisco. I told you guys that last week. The Jags didn't need to win. They got their butt whooped in San Francisco that year. Holidays, by the time they teed off, they knew they had already wrapped up the division. I kind of get that. But how 3 teams this week didn't show up to play what it felt like with an urgency and with like a December kind of energy when everything's on the line, where so much is on the line in the NFL. All these teams are still alive. So the Colts, the Bengals, and the Jags, to me, were 3 teams that didn't show up. I could not get over by late that night when we landed back here in Jacksonville that the New England Patriots on Christmas Eve, with nothing to play for, against a team with a lot to play for, in Denver, making a longer trip, showed up the way they did, and the Jacksonville Jaguars making a trip across the state and could almost get to midnight mass if they wanted to still, couldn't show up and play a football game. Like, that was really mind-boggling to me, and it kind of still is. Like, I don't get that. And that part, to me, is a leadership thing, and I don't think it's just a Doug leadership thing. Doug is got to be trying to push buttons, and by the way, I think he deserves some of the blame for not pushing the right ones right now. And why are they making the same mistakes? There's got to be a little bit of coaching responsibility in there, I think, at least a little bit. I know we're going to get into it later on. I know you want to blame, everybody wants to blame all of it on the coaches. Players don't play, I guess, but we'll get into that later. But I think this is just as much on the leadership of the Jacksonville Jaguars in terms of this leadership committee and their captains and the players that are supposed to lead this football team. Like, you're not getting the right answers. Like, this is a players' league, man. You're professionals. You've got to come to play. And I know when it looks bad, it looks like you didn't even try. I'm not telling you that they didn't try. But they certainly did not bring the energy and what it takes to win this time of year with enough guys that have been through it to the point that you needed to. They did last year at this time of year. They brought it. They brought that energy. They don't have it right now, and I don't know why. I don't think they know why. And I think it's a lost football team here at the moment, heading into 2 more critical games with still everything in front of them. And to the point, Aaron, where I just don't care if they were playing like Bartram Trail. I think it's hard to figure if they're going to get up or not. I don't know what to expect anymore out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They could play a good football game. If they are as good as we thought they were, or when they were 8-3 or a playoff caliber team, they should walk onto the field and win 30-10 over the Carolina Panthers. That doesn't happen often in the NFL. You can say that. They kind of should.
Yeah.
But don't expect that. Like, I'm not expecting that. I have no idea what to expect these next couple of weeks. Like, I'm lost in terms of trying to figure out what this team is. And I think they are too.
Yeah, I don't think this is like I saw a lot of people saying they look or feel disinterested, and I understand why they say or feel that way, but I feel like it's more about just feeling lost. I like what you just said there. It's a little bit of a confidence issue, I think, at this point, trying to do too much, always getting it messed up, and that's where I think the lifelessness comes in, where you do things to try and escape this, and it feels inescapable. That was actually one of the things asked to Trevor today, or was it yesterday when he did the press conference. If part of the stress is that this just feels so inescapable, and when you watch this team over the last few weeks, that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's like You try to run the ball, you can't run the ball. You try to throw the ball, you can't throw the ball. You try to run with the ball, you fumble the ball. You try to defend the pass, and you blow a big play for a touchdown. You try to defend the run, you get gashed for 256 yards. It's just, there is no escape from how poorly the team is playing right now. I think that is part of the insurmountable feeling of this whole thing.
Yeah, I think you just said it. Fantastic. And I think I said this a couple different ways, too, over the weekend. Like, there's nobody playing good football. Like, Evan Ingram has 98 catches. He didn't have a great football game the other day. Got a lot of garbage stuff, and he's fine, like, whatever. I think he's still a very good football player, and he's been one of their best football players. But, I mean, he fumbled the football. I think he had a couple of drops. Looks like there's a little bit of miscommunication sometimes, even with Trevor, last week, this week. So
I've heard the word miscommunication.
Oh, so much. I know it.
50 zillion times in the last month and a half.
That means you're making the game hard. That's what that means. Like, or you're not in your book enough, or whatever else. I don't know. You're not paying attention to details, right? I mean, it's a simple part of a lot of things. You got to pay attention to details. But I think you said it right. I think guys are trying to make plays or trying to do too much, but nobody's making a play. I think the way Trevor said it is actually might even be a little bit better. Is that everybody's looking around for the next guy to do something that they can follow. You've got to kind of be the guy. And right now, Trevor's having a hard time being the guy. One, he didn't practice all week. He's got to be one of your leaders. I don't know if practice means a whole lot in the NFL, but he not being out there, the uncertainty of that, I think gives you uncertainty in the locker room. And what's he going to be like? Is he going to be ready to go? And obviously some of their offensive issues. On top of that, I think he's extremely frustrated. And I think when he gets frustrated, he tries to do way too much. And he forces the issue, and it looks really bad. I mean, I tweeted this the other day. I thought that looked like a Trevor from the Urban Meyer year. Like, that looked like a guy frustrated, just screw it, throw this up, throw that up, whatever. And that was a bad sign for me. Like, he looks really kind of rattled in a way that he can't trust a lot out there. And I'm not even sure he can trust himself because of his health at the moment. It was very similar to the way the Chiefs looked. The Chiefs looked a lot like the Jags yesterday. The difference is I think Mahomes is more of a veteran quarterback now and can still kind of navigate some of that without, like, just turning the ball over all the time. Like, I don't think Trevor's taught himself to just, like, okay, take the medicine, right? How many times have we talked about that this month? Yeah. Take the medicine. Don't make a bad play worse.
Yeah.
He continues to do it. Like, he actually had a good play that I thought showed his hesitation the most. The double clutch throw to Elijah Cooks over the middle. Like, he was hesitant to pull the trigger. He was wide open. He was throwing to it ended up being a good play. And I think it was a big 3rd and 12 conversion, if I'm not mistaken. But that to me said a lot. Like, he's a little hesitant. He's like gun shy right now. We saw some of that his rookie season. Haven't seen a lot of that out of Trevor since then. And it felt like he's in a little bit of that kind of slump right now for the Jaguars. And his health becomes an issue. Listen, he got a sprained shoulder. He was in a sling on the plane home, but his MRI apparently checked out okay. The x-rays right after the game checked out okay. The AC joint, again, I feel like I can be a doctor sometimes.
We've talked about enough ailments.
The AC joint and the sprain is like really a pain tolerance issue, I think 90% of the time from other guys. Now, we talk about that kind of issue a lot when maybe it's like, it might have been something similar to like Anton Harrison had in camp, right? Can you work through it? Or defenders have this a lot, like edge guys.
There's one difference.
Difference when you're throwing the football with it.
Yes, and that's what Trevor described. He said he finished out the drive. He couldn't really raise his arm past a certain point. It was affecting his throwing. It was time to come out.
I mean, are you rooting for Trevor to play this week? And I'm not saying because he's a bad quarterback. I just wonder, like, with all this stuff going on, is it better for him to play or not to play? Is it better for this football team to play or not play? Is that a fair question or is that an idiotic question?
I don't think it's an idiotic question, although it does sound like incredulous, right? Like my friend asked me this about the Jets last week. He's like, wouldn't you rather just have Trevor Siemian in there game managing instead of Zach Wilson trying to make a play all that? And I'm like, no, I wouldn't. And if I'm a Jags fan, I want Trevor out there every time. It's just he's more than just his arm talent. That being said, if you've got an AC joint sprain and you can't throw the ball, you shouldn't be out there. And I understand what you're not talking about the joint. You're talking about getting a guy in there like C.J. Beathard, maybe a different style. Maybe it'll settle in a little bit and maybe it'll kickstart something. But I don't see how you can do that if you think Trevor can go.
Yeah, I don't. I think my answer to this is, yeah, Trevor play, right? But my point of it was, I said this to Steph, actually. I was like, it sounds kind of goofy to say it. Like, do you want C.J. Beathard to play? And my point in it right now is they've turned the ball over 10 times in the last 3 games. And if you're C.J. Beathard, you know what you do as a backup quarterback? Like, you try not to make mistakes. Like, that's what, before you make plays, you try not to make mistakes. I almost think the Jags are better off right now not making mistakes.
Yeah, just kind of
like,
dink and
just
dunk. Yeah.
don't make mistakes before you make a play. Right? And that's really where, and I think other guys step up around a guy when he comes in and plays. So, again, I'm fine with Trevor. I'm advocating for Trevor to play. I'm just telling you, that was my point of it, is like, I think he's trying to make up for a lot of stuff. The offensive line was bad the other day again. And that Bucs defense is really just okay. Like, just okay.
I mean, less than that in most of the games they've played this year, especially that pass defense. Everything was lining up for this offense to have a huge passing day.
The run game is non-existent, and then you get behind, and then you can't run, but it didn't even matter. You can't run anyway. We know that for the last month. I mean, Travis Etienne, he's just been rendered useless. Nothing to his own doing either. They can't even get him the ball. The receivers are messing up. They had a 4th and 8 the other day, delay a game. A 4th and 8, and they took a delay a game. Can't get the play call in on time.
That's rough.
Can't make a decision on time. Like, what do you lean on offensively? And again, I had big back and forth with people yesterday about this. With the Chiefs are the same way right now. If you look at their offensive line got obliterated yesterday by the Raiders.
And Pat Mahomes.
Which means they didn't run the ball. They kept messing things up. Like, they had miscommunication problems. Jawan Taylor's holding, all this other stuff. Like, as a play caller, what do you call? Like, what do you lean on? And that was one of my big topics right in the locker room after the game. What do you lean on? Your defense keeps giving up stuff, getting shredded by Flacco, Baker Mayfield, and Browning. So you have nothing to lean on. You can't tackle well. Your kicker's missing kicks. Your offense keeps just – I don't like shooting yourself in the foot. I'm tired of that. I don't know where it ever came with, so I like throwing up all over myself instead. Like, that's what your offense is doing. Like, they are just totally – throwing up on themselves, like play after play or series after series. Like, what are you supposed to lean on? I asked Doug today this. I said, do you even know this football team? Like, I don't even know. How do you know what to expect out of this football team going into Sunday? Can you make a call? Like, Vegas has them 6.5-point favorites. I don't know what the hell metrics they're looking at.
They're looking at the Panthers metrics. So they're looking at.
They are. I did say this today. They have played their worst football and also got beat up at a time when their opponents are playing their best. Their opponents this month that they've lost to in this 4-game losing streak are 14-2.
Yeah, the Bengals were at their peak.
Yes.
The Bucs are right now at their peak. The Niners were riding really high.
Baltimore.
Yeah, man.
And even Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
So 14-2. Now, their next 2 opponents, this is a break. They're 2-6 in the month of December, right? So this is finally a break. This was like a bad matchup for the last 4. That still doesn't excuse the 30-0 score of the Bucs game, though, to be. Like, if they beat you by a field goal because they're playing good ball, that's different. But I can make that case that they're 14-2 and teams are playing really well and all this stuff, and you're just kind of running into it at the wrong time, and then it gives you a little faith for the next couple weeks. I really don't know what the only thing that you're riding on right now if you're Jacksonville is the fact that you're about to play a 2-win team here in town.
How sad is that?
You're
the first place team, and that is it. That is all you're happy about, is that the competition may stink so bad it's going to cover up the stench from your locker room.
That's what it is. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, the Jaguars are a bad football team right now. Like, they are no better than a 2-win football team the way they're playing these last few weeks. Like, that's just reality. When they had won 5 games in a row, they were playing good football. And at times they weren't playing perfect football, but they were playing good enough football. There's no sense of, like, good football being played. in the last few weeks by the Jags. The best bit of football they played was against Baltimore defensively to hold the Ravens to 23 points and at least give their offense a chance. Like the last month, that's probably the best. Now, their offense played well against Cincinnati, too. They went up and down the field and scored 31 points. But outside of those two things, they really have not played any semblance of good football this entire month. It's pretty wild. Like, that's a long stretch for a team that's supposed to be pretty good, a team that was bringing everybody back, even with the injuries. We've seen too many teams win with injuries and figure it out. Why can't the Jags figure it out? So, and then there's a lot going on. We got a lot of updates from Doug Peterson. What Trevor Lawrence said this weekend, I thought, hey, listen, the words are one thing. You still got to go back out, and it's time to do it, right? It's what I said about before the game. It's one thing for Trevor to be healthy. He still has to play well. Like, I think the benchmark has been get him back to the game and just get him out there to play.
Shove him on
No,
the
that's
field.
not good enough. Like, he has to be able to play well. He's not playing good football right now on top of being banged up. And I guess all his concentration is just to make it to game day these last few weeks. And kudos for that. Nobody's questioned the toughness or anything or his will to play or want to play. But we can certainly question how well he's playing and how everybody else is playing around him. And right now it's pretty atrocious here in Jacksonville. Brent Friends on ESPN 690. We'll hear from Doug Peterson, hear from Trevor Lawrence. And I want to get into something because I keep seeing this. It seems like everybody is blaming coaching staff, maybe now going after Balky a little bit and the GM and how this team is built.
There's a fair amount of blame everywhere else in the chat too, but go ahead.
Yeah, I want to see, like, do we just absolve players? Or do you just all blame your bosses? Really is what I want to get into.
It's a lot easier to blame my boss than anybody else, I think.
Like, these guys are getting paid pretty good money to not play the way they've played the last month, but we're okay with just pointing fingers at the caller, at Brady Caller, and Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke. It's probably a shared blame along the way. I'd like to get your thoughts on that. 904-362-9901 is the number here on the show. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year week we now turn into, with the Jags playing a big one against Carolina coming up on Sunday.
Now, the First Alert Forecast on ESPN 690.
Mild today, a mix of clouds and sun, and still a few showers at times with highs 70 to 75, dropping into the mid to upper 50s tonight and partly sunny and mild tomorrow. Your Wednesday high will be near 75. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Join me today beginning at 5 p.m. on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed.
It's a good time of year to think about friends and relationships, and we appreciate our relationship with the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville, Nimnick Buick GMC. 6 cars from Nimnick since arriving in Jax in 2008. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941, and they can help your family this holiday season. From mobile oil changes to their used car selection, they're the #1 Car Bravo dealer in the Southeast. And how about a new GMC Sierra? Love mine. Save up to $10,000 on select GMC Sierra 1500s. Visit off Phillips Highway or NimnickBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
As the seasons change, one thing remains the same. Jacksonville and all of Northeast Florida are fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks. If you spot ESPN 690 anywhere in the community, come hang with us and grab an ice-cold Celsius.
Play a little pool, watch some football, eat wings, and, of course, plenty of adult beverages. Perfect Rack Billiards is the place to be on game day and every day. Now open for lunch at 11:30 on Friday and Saturdays. Daily specials like 75-cent Wing Wednesday, $3 Draft Thursday, and $3 Seltzer Saturday. Pool, darts, shuffleboard in a fun, clean atmosphere at Perfect Rack Billiards. It's your Jags game day headquarters. 10 wings and a pitcher for $20 and a free shot with every Jags touchdown. It's up to the Jags to score. It's up to you to have fun at Perfect Rack Billiards in Jacksonville. It's old school card collecting with new school breaks. Davoli's House of Cards does it all. Missing a card from an old 1987 baseball top set? They probably have it. Want to join in on a live TikTok break with the hottest new cards? You can do it with Davoli's House of Cards. Stop on by, talk some sports, find your favorite cards for your kids or for you, like when you were a kid. From Trevor Lawrence rookies to Pokemon and more, Davoli's House of Cards on 210. And join their live breaks on TikTok at Davoli's House of Breaks.
Celebrate December with Best Bet. We're giving away an incredible $275,000 in cash. Kickstart your holiday fun at Jacksonville and Orange Park with amazing promotions like $500 High Hand Fridays, 12 Days of Christmas, and the $40,000 Guaranteed GoPo 400 Tournament. We have you covered with fun, fast card games like 1-card and 3-card poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and more. New to the game? No worries. Our friendly dealers are ready to teach you the ropes. For all the details, head over to bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Time to hoop it up and swoop it up with the Ospreys. Men's and women's basketball season is here. They are off and running. UNFospreys.com for your season tickets. Plenty of options in the beautiful UNF Arena to watch a fun brand of hoops. In December alone, 7 home games between the men and the women. Season tickets, flex plans, premium seat, and suite options are available. Matthew Driscoll and the men off to a nice start. New women's coach Erica Lambert has her team playing tough. It's the busiest home slate in the D1 era. More than 30 games at UNF Arena. Go to UNFospreys.com.
Introducing Pelicano by Redboat Tours. Get ready for the ultimate tour experience. Smooth, quiet, and oh so comfortable. Our brand new custom-built boat is fast, spacious, and handicap accessible. And here's the kicker. It comes with a killer DS18 sound system and a dance floor. Pelicano is perfect for weddings, office parties, neighborhood gatherings, family reunions, and kids' birthday parties. Don't miss out. Visit redboattours.com to book your unforgettable sightseeing tour aboard Pelicano today. Redboat Tours, where every journey is a celebration.
Victim of a slip and fall? It takes one phone call to take back control of your life. Anajar and Levine will fight to get you the compensation you deserve. Call me, Mark Anajar, for a free consultation. 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
Main office, Jacksonville. My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-737-9944. That's 1-800-737-9944. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-737-9944. That's 1-800-737-9944.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Hi, folks. Terry Norvell here, inviting you to join me and my broadcast partner, Patrick Young, weekdays at high noon for the Young and Norvell Show. Lunch is on you, the most compelling sports talk in the area. Well, that's on us. The Young and Norvell Show, weekdays at noon on ESPN 690.
Yeah, Trevor's progressing, obviously. He's a little bit sore, but doing better today than he did yesterday, and we'll see where he's at again tomorrow.
That is Doug Peterson today, this afternoon, just a couple hours ago, and I think good news on the Trevor front. But I will tell you, that's a pain-tolerant deal. He's throwing the football. He looked uncomfortable, and that's a couple of times now with the concussion protocol and that he's actually been waving that arm around.
Yeah.
You know what bugged the hell out of me about that play? Is that, first of all, it's 30-0.
You're talking about the fourth down play.
Yeah, that's where he hurt it.
Right.
When he dived. It was 2nd and 1. It was 3rd and 1. In a 30-0 game, they couldn't get, the defense isn't even really, at that point, they're just playing a softer defense usually. 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1. It took 4th and 1 in a dive by your quarterback out of bounds just to pick up the first down. Nothing is easy. Nothing is easy. It's supposed to be pretty easy on 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, down 30-0 to just complete the pass and move the chains. They eventually end up scoring on that drive. That was the last drive for Trevor Lawrence. But it was just an unnecessary thing. Now, some people would say, why is he even in the game? Most people don't come out of the game, right? And I think the bigger thing is, why does he have to dive in that situation just to get a first down? They can't execute. They just can't execute this offense. The offense feels broken to me.
Yeah, it's certainly I don't know, man. You've now cited a few times this year where you thought the offense looked really good. They were able to march up and down the field. I still don't think we've seen this offense in the way they intended it at all.
Well, I think you're right about that. I mean, I'm going to give you a stat a little bit later on, either tomorrow or maybe I did a bunch of statistics on the play ride home, and it has to do with crossing midfield and how many times they score and don't score.
You know, I love
because that's been a
statistics.
big topic for me.
Yeah.
And that will lead to some of what you're talking about and kind of why it feels at times like they're moving it but then they just stall out in a major way.
But to the point, I mean, that was the early season version of shooting yourself in the foot. It just wasn't costing them as much.
Well, yeah, and I remember Evan Ingram said that one time. He's like, well, listen, we didn't get away with it this time. I think that was in the Cincinnati game or maybe it was the Cleveland game.
Right after that, yeah.
It was like, hey, we didn't we've been getting away with this stuff and still winning games, and this time we didn't get away with it. So you're right. The Jags have had some of these problems have existed throughout, and you are who you are at that point. We'll see on Trevor Lawrence. Good news here on the Cam Robinson front. It looks like he's going to play. Zay Jones back on the practice field. Looks to be good. The Jags could be as healthy as they've been all year, minus Christian Kirk going into this game, and obviously a banged-up quarterback. That's significant. But they actually, Aaron, could be very healthy. Cisco and Campbell getting back into the fold. Campbell's had a lost year, basically, but maybe playing 2 games in a row will help them. They don't have to play Mike Evans.
Campbell.
But there's at least a little bit of that, okay, we're pretty healthy. Like
Cam
the
is
Jags,
a big addition to get back this weekend.
It feels like he's big. I don't know why he's so big other than some intangibles. I mean, he's a good player, but he's not Trent Williams.
Well, he's a nastier player than anyone they got on the line by reputation.
Yeah, he is. And I think Doug said he brings like some energy to it and everything else. I think he can feel that. They're 6-1 in games he plays.
That stat is pretty telling. Like, name another player outside of Trevor Lawrence that's affecting the win-loss column like that, because you won't find one.
Well, we thought Zay Jones was that guy earlier. Like, well, this offense isn't functioning because Zay Jones, and now
you get Zay Jones back, and you're like, oh, we don't have Christian Kirk. You know, it's the same equation.
Yeah, well, they really have never fully had Zay Jones back, it felt like this year. But to your point, Christian Kirk feels like it's been a bigger problem because they've been just awful.
Listless.
Since Kirk went out in that Cincinnati game, from a team perspective. Like, you really wonder the leadership part, how much that impacts. And I think this is up to leadership of the Jags. They got this circle. They've got good people in that locker room, but that resilience and that grit and everything else that, like, they leaned on last year, they leaned on early this year. Like, where is that? And maybe Cam Robinson brings a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Maybe bring some noise, because what I think is they have a lot of silent leaders. And it's okay. Like, you can lead by example, and then you can be a rah-rah guy. And I don't think it's just rah-rah guy. Like, Patrick Mahomes got into his offensive line yesterday. Guess what?
Lit him up.
Didn't matter.
Nope.
Travis Kelce's throwing helmets, and he's running guys over. He gives you a spark. Didn't matter.
Yep.
Their offense still was broke. So, be careful on some of those things. But the bottom line is somebody's got to find something. And I think you can't count on Parker Washington or Anton Harrison or those guys to lift you out of this. You need Trevor. You need Ridley. You need Cam. You need Foye. You need Josh. You need Rayshawn. You need guys like that to lift you out of whatever funk you're in, and especially this time of year. Those guys have to play well for them.
Yeah, the sport is littered with these stories of, like, the get your head out of your butt moment from the quarterback to whomever. I think this is more about momentum for the Jaguars. I think someone makes a play like we were talking about earlier, and then other guys make plays, and suddenly you're rolling, because these are all talented dudes. They all know what they're supposed to be doing. Well, maybe they don't all know what they're supposed to be doing, but nobody is out there making. There's no momentum to build off of whatsoever. And to Trevor's, comment in the press conference, like, no one's coming to save us. It's just us out here.
Yeah.
One of those guys has to do that, and it's not popping right now.
Let's hear from some of that, because Trevor was really good after the game. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to go here, Aaron. But in Trevor, trying to find something that he said it like 3 different ways. But let's go with cut 5, because I think that's the one you're referring to about the frustration, and you can hear it. The angst in the voice of Trevor Lawrence.
Like I said, it just looks like we don't even practice. The stuff that we're doing, we look lost, no sense of urgency. The list goes on. And, I feel like we have good weeks of preparation, and I feel like we're prepared going into games, and then something happens on game day the last month where it just all falls apart. So, we got to figure that out. We're all in it together. We got to. This is our season. We've worked hard to be in this position, and we're close to pissing it away. So we gotta figure it out. We got 2 weeks left, like I said, and we got to flush it and move on to the next one because there wasn't much good to take from today, but we got to get better.
You're not close. You are at the toilet, buddy. You're there.
Did you have a problem with Trevor's looks like we don't practice comment?
I didn't. I thought it was accurate. I thought he was describing what he feels like it looks like sometimes out there. And I don't think he's wrong from an eyeball perspective. You're watching a team who's not on the same page with each other. Didn't you guys do this already in practice?
Yeah, I would think I get fans are tired of the team right now and from Trevor to everybody else. But this is what I appreciate about Trevor. Like the things he just said there are exactly the way we all feel watching the game and fans feel. And I think fans love when people this is when we get the most love from the fans is when we ask something or say something that they want to hear.
Well, it's validation, sure.
Yeah, it's they want somebody to say it out loud. No, that's real. It's a real thing. I've done this long enough to know, you can see the ebbs and flows. And when you try to go, hey, maybe it's this, it's no, you're an idiot. It's something this way. Tell me what I want to hear. Tell me Balky should be fired. Tell me Doug Peterson should be fired. Tell me Press Taylor should not call plays. Brent, I love you.
There it goes.
That's it. But I actually think Trevor said something that the fans are all thinking and saying. It looks like you guys don't practice. You're pissing this away. I give him credit for being able to relate kind of real life. A lot of people, they live in the bubble now. They're just 24 hours, 24 hours, 24 hours. We do this, process it, all this stuff. And yeah, Steve says, I loved when Brent asked about play calling today. Again, yeah, I've gotten a lot of response about that because you want the guy fired. Yeah, that's why. Everybody's got to blame Press Taylor. And by the way, I'm not knocking the fan for that. I get it. But I'm also praising a little bit of Trevor Lawrence for in the moment. I think he's got a great relationship with this fan base and with this city and everything because he kind of feels it the way you do.
Well, it's a genuine reaction. All the guys on the field feel it that way. It's just not all of them are capable of saying it in front of a microphone with
that's
reporters
a good point.
In front of them.
That's a good point. Or ready to articulate it or willing to articulate
it,
Aaron,
is a great
right?
one,
because,
too. Yeah.
Look, it got attention.
There's smoke that comes with it.
Yes. It got attention, but I think it needs to be done. That's the leadership I'm talking about. It needs to be done. Somebody's got to step up. The reason why I asked Doug today about play calling is not necessarily because I fully believe it. I think the players are really playing bad football. And now I've got some questions about some of the coaching stuff too. But I think this fire everybody. Well, let's look at the players first because they're doing some things that are this is not NFL level stuff, right? This is not professional football kind of stuff. But I asked it because do you need a spark? Who's going to spark this thing? Doug said last week, we don't want to be desperate. We don't want to be desperate. I get what he's saying there, but urgency and desperation is a fine line. Spark and desperation is a fine line. And does he need to just take over the play calling? Because the last time he did the play calling, or at least publicly did it, was a 5-game win streak to end the year, and they were cooking, and everything was good. So I'm not even saying you need to do it to say that Press is doing a bad job, but what are you going to do to spark it? I also suggest put Tyler Shatley in at center instead of Luke Fortner. Do something to make yourself better on that offensive line. That's what I mean as a spark. Something to get a defibrillator out for this football team right now because it feels like they're dying, man. And I think Trevor Lawrence kind of said it at the microphone, but now he's got to do it. Even I acknowledge and I give him credit for saying it, but now he's just got to play better. You cannot win football games with your quarterback giving the football away this way, whether it's his fault or not. It just can't happen. Baker Mayfield has 10 touchdowns and 1 interception this month. Matthew Stafford has 12 touchdowns or something and 0 or 1 interception this month.
Lighten them up.
That's the kind of ball you need at this time. When Trevor played really well and the Jags won down the stretch, he didn't turn it over. He had a great stretch of football last year. He knows that too, but the Jags need it. The Jags need to just do it now. As for the practice comment that you didn't have a problem with, I didn't have a problem with, but it did get attention. Doug Peterson did address it today, and that's cut number 5 as well.
So here's the deal with this cut, Brent. I'll give you a choice here because I didn't want to shorten or amend the comment at all. The question was asked to Doug basically to respond. It was actually a poor question to Doug. There was no question. It was a comment. A reporter told Doug how he should feel about it in the statement and then allowed Doug to respond. The response was 1:15. So we can play that or we can play an amended version with both of them here. Which one do you want to hear?
Go whatever one you want. Whatever you like.
I like this one because it really does juxtapose the question and answer between the two, Trevor and Doug. This is Trevor's comment followed by Doug's response.
It's really embarrassing and frustrating, and you put a lot of work in to do that and to look like you don't even practice.
When he doesn't practice, maybe he feels that way, and I can see that, right? When your quarterback doesn't get the reps he needs during the week and you're trying to get the mental reps for him, and he's also working on, the concussion protocol and getting cleared from that. So I can see where he would say something like that, but you guys are at practice. You see the way we go and what we've done, and the guys are working hard.
So Doug is doing two things here. I think he's protecting his relationship with his quarterback because he's basically saying, I understand what he's saying. But he's also saying for you guys to claim that our practices aren't hard or worthy of work or filled with preparation would be, it's intellectually disingenuous. You've been there. You've seen it.
Yeah, which is true, by the way, has a reputation of working those guys hard. I also think Trevor, I think on the outside, this is looked at as our coaches aren't doing a good job at practice. I don't think Trevor was saying that.
No, not at all.
I think he was just saying.
Basically saying we looked bad today.
Yeah.
It looks like a team that's never practiced.
Yeah, I think but it's fine. It was a good back and forth. What you didn't see in that response from Doug Peterson, by the way, was his chuckle at the beginning of it. Like he knew he was going to get asked about the comment from Trevor Lawrence. I don't think it's a big thing at all, but I also think it's like something that raises the attention in the building, which should practice better. They're still making mistakes. And mistakes that you shouldn't make this late in December. They've got to be better. That's the bottom line. They stink right now at the game of football. They really stink. And you can change it in this league in a heartbeat. But it's been 4 weeks of sometimes stinking, then all the time stinking. It's just not good. Let's get to Gary, South Beach. Gary, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. The Dolphins are at least winning. There you go.
Brent, Happy New Year to you, my friend. Yeah, a couple things, Brent. You look at the Dolphins with their injuries. They gave up 1 sack to the Dallas Cowboys, and just suppose that to the pressure that they got on Dak Prescott. The most pressure Prescott faced all season long in percentage of rushed throws. And Brett, I got to say it's the players and the coaches with Jacksonville because look at the Patriots with nothing to lose. They come out and they beat a team in Denver fighting for a playoff spot. Same thing with the Raiders. Nothing to lose. They beat a team in Kansas City fighting for a playoff spot with nothing to lose. How come Doug can't stop the bleeding? And I'll hang up and listen, guys.
Yeah, I think those examples are good examples. I'm looking at examples around the league, and I started the show with it the same way. I don't understand how you don't get ready to play the game when it means so much. I can kind of understand when it doesn't mean how you mean a lot, how you can lose focus.
Sure, you think you could take the day off,
Well, it's not even that. I respect the game that these guys play.
You don't think anybody takes a game off?
Well, I think there are some. I just don't see it that way. I didn't think they were not trying.
I
this
don't
wasn't
think
a George Pickens not.
I don't
blocking,
think that's what happened
right?
here. But I'm saying a team is got a 10-3 record going up against the Carolina Panthers. Maybe that week preparing for the game, you're not running as hard. Maybe you're not reading as much as you should, watching as much game film as you should. Maybe during the game, you're not chasing down a fumble or something like you could take it a little bit easier because we're probably going to win this game.
But what I say that too is just you lose your focus a little bit, right? You're not as dialed in, not as focused. I think that happens. I do think that happens in sports. I think that happens in your job, our job. You take some things for granted, or you're just not ready to go, or don't feel great, or whatever it is. But theirs is so under a microscope, right? And the bottom line is, they say it's the ultimate team game. You have got to all be on the same page. The Jags don't look like they're on the same page at all right now. Let's take a break. We come back. Stephen, hang on the line. We'll get to you. We've got a bunch of comments, and eventually I will get it. I want you thinking about this. Keep commenting about it. Players or coaches? Like, I just feel like everybody is putting this on the coaches. I do think Doug Peterson needs to find the button. Not the panic one, the right one. He has done so many good things in Jacksonville these 2 years. I don't think we should lose sight of that. But this was an 8-3 football team, and the ship is sinking right now. Like, you've got to be able to find the plug, find the right button. And you know what? The Carolina Panthers might be that for him. I don't know. They really might. Might just be fortunate. Sometimes you got to catch breaks. The scheduling break is you playing a team that's really not that good on Sunday. That might be it. More to come. Brent Friends on ESPN 690. From selling out of a back of a car to one of the biggest outfitters in the Southeast, Baker Sports is quite the story. And on a daily basis, they are helping you write your story with a high school name or sports team across a uniform and so much more. And now it's a one-stop shop with Baker Sports, carrying Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. They already make you look good, and now they can help you look better than ever. Baker Sports, custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team, and it's easy to do at bakersport.com.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet, now open in St. Augustine.
As the seasons change, one thing remains the same. Jacksonville and all of Northeast Florida are fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks. If you spot ESPN 690 anywhere in the community, come hang with us and grab an ice-cold Celsius.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's Twin Tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. This month, you can get 50% off a Connecticut K5 drinking water system with the purchase of a Connecticut Premier Series softener. If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and provide solutions that are right for you and your family. Imagine having clean, clear, purified water at your home. No more plastic bottles, no more waste, just great tasting, purified water that you can trust. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. Great financing options for the holidays available. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1428211.
This is Ortho Health Insights, tips for life in motion, brought to you by the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Shoulder pain can be caused by repetitive or overhead activities. Bursitis, tendonitis, and frozen shoulder are all examples of shoulder pain without a known injury. Alternating heat and cold therapies, massage, and stretching, and paying attention to your sleep style can help. One of the most important things you can do if you have shoulder pain is rest. You can also reduce inflammation in your body naturally through your diet. If your pain lasts longer than 2 weeks, or if you feel a pop or tearing sensation in your shoulder, the orthopedic physicians at JOI are experienced in diagnosing the cause and treating your pain. Whether you need a course of physical therapy or surgery, JOI can help. Call 904-JOI-2000. That's 904-JOI-2000. Or to learn more, go to JOI.net. JOI is the official sports medicine provider for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's a good time of year to think about friends and relationships, and we appreciate our relationship with the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville, Nimnick Buick GMC. 6 cars from Nimnick since arriving in Jacks in 2008. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941, and they can help your family this holiday season. From mobile oil changes to their used car selection, they're the #1 Car Bravo dealer in the Southeast. And how about a new GMC Sierra? Love mine. Save up to $10,000 on select GMC Sierra 1500s. Visit off Phillips Highway or NimnickBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Hey, Bruiser, you ready to do the old holiday shopping routine?
Yeah, I got all the houses picked out.
Alrighty.
Hey, you know I almost feel sorry for these folks.
Oh, don't go soft on me now. That's why they pay insurance.
Okay, so you promise those kids will just lose their bikes for a little while?
Yeah, I promise. Whatever.
All right, then let's sing our favorite holiday song.
Yeah. We're making our list, checking it twice.
Looking for houses with things that are nice. Bruiser and Browser are coming to town. We're filling our truck, we won't leave much.
Avoiding those houses that God safe touch.
Bruiser and Browser are coming to town.
Crime does increase during the holidays. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, owner of Safe Touch Security Systems. Our new Safe Touch two-way communicator saves lives and prevents property loss every day. Our average response time is an incredible 14 seconds. Nobody can match our servers or our price. You have my guarantee on it.
Call SafeTouch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license EF2000195.
ESPN 690 is home for the Florida Sportsman Fishing Show hosted by Captain Rick Riles. Tune in every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. to find out what's biting now. Fishing so fresh, you can almost smell it.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-330-2929. That's 800-330-2929. 800-330-2929.
This is Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau.
You don't even like your quarterback.
Casey Kurtz.
You don't even like your team.
And Aaron Schachter.
I don't even like myself, guys. Do you know me?
On Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
What is the biggest problem with the Jags?
Oh, how much time you got, Brent?
Maybe that's not a good way to question. I want to do that going into like a short segment. What's the quickest fix of the Jags?
Ooh. I like what you did. There's a little negative to positive.
Like, if there's they're not doing anything well. Like, I can't, do you know, was there a player that played well the other day?
Was there a player that played well the other day? I'd have to look again, but I mean, I didn't think Josh Allen was bad. I didn't think Trayvon was terrible.
The funny thing is you say this, and I love Josh, and maybe nobody more in Jacksonville loves Josh more than me. I thought Josh was, like, invisible.
I mean,
like, I didn't notice he was playing. Like, I honestly did, and I guess he had 5 pressures. Yeah. But I really didn't notice. Trayvon had another sack.
Yeah.
He's got 7 now.
Like, these guys weren't bad, is what I'm saying. Like, they didn't impact the game. They were in game records. Sometimes Josh can actually change the tempo of a game, depending on how. I didn't feel that way from the eye test, but I didn't think they were awful. I saw them back there a few times.
Yeah, but then he escaped. See, that's the thing, the tackling. Even when they made like a -2 play in the backfield, like off to the sideline, 3 guys missed before they got the running back down.
Yeah, and that, by
Baker
the way,
Mayfield looked like
Lamar Jackson,
Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson.
But this was
tackle him.
Tackling was like a calling card of this football team early on.
That was amazing.
Part of the big standout defense was the fact that you didn't need 3 guys to take anyone down. There weren't broken tackles. They were tackling.
Matt Jones says Logan Cook played well. Yeah, he had 1 kick for 65 yards. Like, yeah, great. I thought Elijah Cooks did a good job in his role. I mean, that was nice to see. Made a big couple of plays for them. I'm just kind of lost at who even played well. And I'm asked the biggest fix. We'll get Steven in online before we go to break. But the biggest fix right now, the easiest fix, is how about the kicker make a kick? Make a kick.
That's tough, especially because you traded for the guy. This is tough right now.
Well, I really thought Doug messed up in that game, and if you were following along, it was 4th and 19, and they were down like some ridiculous amount of points. You knew they're not winning the game. But 4th and 19 is a prayer. I would have brought McManus out to make a kick and see it go through the uprights, because it would have been like a 38-yard field goal or something.
You put points on the board.
The one thing about all his misses, and again, I'm not giving him he's a kick. He should be making these, or some of them, or most of them. 52, 50, 55, 55, 48. Like, give him something from 38 just to see it go through the uprights and get his confidence going. But right now, you're going to trot him out there against Carolina, and it's a flip of a coin if you think he's going to make it.
PFF says Adam Gotsis, who played 31 total snaps, put in an 88.6 for his grade.
Yeah, Adam Gotsis, who, by the way, ran on the field late and still deflected a pass. Like, he was the last guy getting on the field. The ball snapped. He jumps up to deflect it. Baker Mayfield double pumps. He throws it. He blocks it. It was amazing. It was like, even that was one play they actually screwed up but still made a play.
Even when it's a highlight, it's a low light right now.
Let's get to Steven real quick before the break. Steven, what's happening, man?
Hey, not too much. Just getting used to having a new baby here.
Congratulations.
But no, I was completely disappointed in that game. Yeah, I'm glad Elijah Cooks, showed what he could do. I've been waiting to see him get out there. The thing this week, and I know you're a big provider of Trev and all that, Brent, but just sit him. And you got a bad shoulder now. You're fighting through a knee, a high ankle. You got your bell rung a week and a half ago. Let's face it, just sit the week. It's the Panthers. Honestly, I believe everybody all over Jacksonville can understand. If we lose to the Panthers, we don't deserve to be a playoff team. And I mean,
I'm not sure you deserve to be. I'm not sure you deserve to be a playoff team if you beat the Panthers necessarily, but it's not about deserving right now, Steven.
Okay, well, you shouldn't earn either, but. No, I'm disappointed in the line. We were doing so good in the beginning of the year. Then Cam came in, then we started doing musical chairs there, and then the injuries started hitting. And then it just seems like all of it's just hitting us, kicking us in the butt at once. Because last year around this time, we were the healthiest team in the league.
Yeah.
And now it's just we're getting our butts kicked.
Yeah, thanks. Steve, we're going to up against break. Thanks, man, and congratulations again on the new baby. And listen, I think the Jags are pretty healthy right now, though. Like I've seen too many teams win games with injuries. I can't go the injury card. It's tough. It's tough in the injuries, but they're supposed to be built with some depth. That's what the draft was about and everything else. So I just can't buy the injuries when I see teams winning with so many of them. By the way, the Jags just signed Matt Barkley. Quarterback
USC
Matt Barkley. Didn't know he was still throwing a football around.
Neither did I.
But the Jaguars just signed him, part of the Daniel Thomas injury as he goes to, I think, IR. In fact, we got JOI Doc coming in and forearm hand specialist from JOI, and we can ask him about that Daniel Thomas injury with the forearm, which is a broken one for DT, one of the prime special teamers for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's coming up next. Brent Friends on ESPN 690. Hey everybody, it's Brent Martineau from Brent Friends on ESPN 690. Tune into our high-energy, multi-platform show Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. on ESPN 690 and a variety of video streaming platforms as well. As the seasons change, so do the sports topics. It's football season now, and we're bringing you all things sports weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. And you can tailgate with us at the Duval House for every Sunday home game this football season. Fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks.
Celebrate December with Best Bet. We're giving away an incredible $275,000 in cash. Kickstart your holiday fun at Jacksonville and Orange Park with amazing promotions like $500 High Hand Fridays, 12 Days of Christmas, and the $40,000 Guaranteed GoPo 400 Tournament. We have you covered with fun, fast card games like 1-card and 3-card poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and more. New to the game? No worries. Our friendly dealers are ready to teach you the ropes. For all the details, head over to bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Play a little pool, watch some football, eat wings, and, of course, plenty of adult beverages. Perfect Rack Billiards is the place to be on game day and every day. Now open for lunch at 11:30 on Friday and Saturdays. Daily specials like 75-cent Wing Wednesday, $3 Draft Thursday, and $3 Seltzer Saturday. Pool, darts, shuffleboard in a fun, clean atmosphere at Perfect Rack Billiards. It's your Jags game day headquarters. 10 wings and a pitcher for $20 and a free shot with every Jags touchdown. It's up to the Jags to score. It's up to you to have fun at Perfect Rack Billiards in Jacksonville.
Frank, you got to come see my new windows from American Window Products. They're beautiful and they keep the house so cool.
Oh, slow down, Jim.
No, Frank. American Window Products is having a sale right now, and you said you wanted a locally owned business with qualified products and professional installers. Well, American Window Products has all that and more.
More?
Yes, selection and great prices at American Window Products.
Whoa, what's that number?
731-2247, a family-owned business since 1981. Check them out at AmericanWindowProducts.com. Call them, Frank.
I'm calling American Window Products right now, Jim.
It's old school card collecting with new school breaks. Davoli's House of Cards does it all. Missing a card from an old 1987 baseball top set? They probably have it. Want to join in on a live TikTok break with the hottest new cards? You can do it with Davoli's House of Cards. Stop on by, talk some sports, find your favorite cards for your kids or for you, like when you were a kid. From Trevor Lawrence rookies to Pokemon and more, Davoli's House of Cards on 210. And join their live breaks on TikTok at Davoli's House of Breaks.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence has a right shoulder sprain from Sunday's loss against the Buccaneers. His availability for a Week 17 home game against the Panthers is uncertain. Colts safety Julian Blackmon goes on IR today, ending his season with a shoulder injury. The Phoenix Suns are 14-14, and Kevin Durant is reportedly frustrated with the team's lack of a strong supporting cast. ESPN's Tim Legler.
There's a lot going on in Phoenix right now, but I think the criticism of the supporting cast is a little unfair. Certainly when you compare it to the Boston Celtics, yes, nobody's beat Celtics. When you compare it to the Denver Nuggets, the world champions, yes. But those are the two teams favored to win it this year. Phoenix isn't quite on that level.
Tim Legler on Greeny. Lakers point guard Gabe Vincent will have arthroscopic surgery on his left knee. He's expected to be out 6 to 8 weeks. A triple-header of bowl games today on ESPN. In the third quarter, Minnesota leads Bowling Green 10-9. Then Texas State and Rice, followed by Kansas and UNLV.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman from Unsportsmanlike. I just want to wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday and a happy new year. We'll see you in 2024. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Time to hoop it up and swoop it up with the Ospreys. Men's and women's basketball season is here. They are off and running. UNFOspreys.com for your season tickets. Plenty of options in the beautiful UNF Arena to watch a fun brand of hoops. In December alone, 7 home games between the men and the women. Season tickets, flex plans, premium seat, and suite options are available. Matthew Driscoll and the men off to a nice start. New women's coach Erica Lambert has her team playing tough. It's the busiest home slate in the D1 era. More than 30 games at UNF Arena. Go to UNFOspreys.com.
Hard Rock Bet presents Legal in Florida.
You can bet the game on Hard Rock Bet. No more betting inside your head. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Legal in Florida. It's safe, it's legal. We'll repeat that it is legal. Top rated sportsbook and it's the only one that's legal.
Get a no-regret first bet up to $100 when you sign up now. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 and over and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Shacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! Ow! It really hit me.
Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Casey Kurtz. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
Daniel Thomas broke his forearm, and he's I think it's possibly his right. Anyway, broke his forearm. We'll verify it, but he broke his forearm in the game, and so he's gonna miss some time.
It is his left forearm for Daniel Thomas, who, by the way, is a very, very good special teamer. for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's an injury. Again, I think overall that could get Cam Robinson back. I mean, you could get Zay Jones. We'll see. He's on the practice field this week. Christian Kirk obviously won't be back, maybe at all, but anytime soon. And then the Campbells and Siscos are working their way back. I think Devon Hamilton's starting to make a couple plays, which also is a bit promising. I'm trying to find some sunshine here, folks.
Not too much sunshine or rainbows in the sunshine and rainbows department, is there?
No, but ironically, sometimes we get a little lucky, too. We have a broken forearm, and today's doc from JOI specializes in that area.
This week's injury update is brought to you by the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. JOI is the official sports medicine provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And say hello to Dr. Gary Katay from Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. He's a team consultant and hand physician for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and obviously works in that neighborhood of the body, which includes fractures to the hand and fingers, which we get a lot in the NFL, all different positions, and ironically forearm as well, which we just told you Daniel Thomas broke the forearm. Dr. Katay, thanks for joining us. Hope you and your family having a fantastic holiday season. How common is the broken forearm in football?
First, thanks very much for having me. It's good to be here, and happy and healthy New Year to everyone. Forearm fractures are not that common, but they do happen, and it's happened to different team members of the Jags before, and sometimes you can even have a recurrent fracture, and so it's things that they're difficult injuries and ones that we have to deal with, and unfortunately, when they are displaced, they usually do require a surgical procedure to get the optimal outcome.
Yeah, that makes some sense, and it's too bad. Again, Jags, Daniel Thomas, very good special teamer, big part of that. One of the best in the league, really. We've seen him make some incredible plays. Overall, you're talking about a part of the body that we have seen players, and somebody asked me this today. It's like sometimes we'll have a cast on and still play, whether it's the hand or maybe fingers, or even, I don't know if they do that with a forearm, but you just kind of described it. If there's some displacement, it's probably significant enough where that's not an option.
Yeah, so just what you said, it depends on the player's position, and it depends on the type of the injury and the severity of the injury, and there's so many different factors. But if there is a displaced fracture, when it's a finger, you can sometimes put a club cast on it and completely protect it. And depending on the position, it's not the quarterback, but it might be a different position that's not a skilled position that you can get the patient back on the field. But usually with the forearm, even a long arm cast, it's difficult to immobilize the injury well enough where the patient can tolerate that type of force during the game.
Dr. Katay with us here from Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, Brent Friends on ESPN 690. Now, the broken finger stuff, I feel like that happens every week, and now that's probably a little dramatic, but pretty common injury, right? At all different positions, from receivers catching a football and getting that thing jammed to offensive linemen and defensive linemen, with all the tussling going on in the trenches. I got to believe that's a pretty common injury across the sport.
Well, just what you said, the jam finger, that's probably a daily occurrence on the practice field, certainly during game day. And the jam finger is something that these high-level athletes deal with on a regular basis. And with the minimal amount of protection, including buddy taping, that's something that they can tolerate pretty well. The fractured finger, where there's actually a bone that's broken, that tends to be a more difficult injury, higher energy, more difficult to tolerate, and that one often requires more protection. So there are a lot of fractures. Most of them do not require surgery, but they do require more protection than just the jam finger.
Yeah, I've seen what comes to mind is Torrey Holt, who used to play for the Jags for a bit, obviously longtime Ram. I mean, his finger is like sideways permanently. You probably get a lot of that, right? I mean, I don't know about a lot of that, but you get some messed up joints, I think, on the hand from playing this game for a long time.
Yeah, these are very tough guys, and they tolerate a lot. And sometimes it's only a couple of years later to say, "Oh yeah, doc, what about my finger? Why is it crooked?" Yeah. And sometimes the deformity is marked, and and at times it's also too late to correct it when it's that late. So it's good to for everyone, the players, the trainers, the docs, to stay on top of these, and if they do need protection or correction, to deal with it early on.
Let me ask you one more part of the body that you specialize in that the hand area. I feel like there would be more hand injuries in the NFL, but I don't really nothing comes to mind right away for me. So is that because the hands are protected in a pretty good way by tape and gloves and everything else, especially with the big fellas?
Right. So they're probably the most common in the linemen, but they're tolerated and covered up pretty well, and they could be accommodated for. But they're around. I mean, in the popular press, the LA quarterback Justin Herbert, I think he's recently had surgery on his hand. I mean, Burrow, he's had wrist injury that obviously sidelined his season. So in the areas where that hand is critical for quarterbacks, more for receivers, you'll hear about it more, and you'll see it come up more for teams, and you'll see it more in the news as well.
That makes some sense. Dr. Gary Kate from Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute specializes in that hand, finger, wrist area, forearms as well. And we appreciate you taking a few minutes. Thanks for sharing some of the knowledge, and we'll see if we can keep the Jags healthy over these next couple weeks.
Absolutely. That's the goal.
Have a good day. That is Dr. Gary Kate, and from Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Of course, the big story from an injury standpoint that we're monitoring, the shoulder of Trevor Lawrence. It's an AC sprain, which, again, my expertise of covering this, I don't know if that's an expertise, is that can often be a pain tolerance thing, but we hear about it with a lot of other positions. Quarterback pain tolerance with your throwing shoulder, that might be a different animal. And maybe that's partly why the Jaguars have signed Matt Barkley to their team just moments ago. Doug Peterson did say today that he doesn't expect Trevor to practice much at all, if any, tomorrow, but he does think he'll be able to get on the field and practice this week at the time. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. All right, let's play the blame game, Aaron.
Cool.
All right. Cool. A lot of people like that, right? Where do you come in on this? There's 3 levels of blame, I would say, maybe 4. Maybe I know people could go to the owner, but let's talk about the football team right now. Trent Baalke, the GM, for how the roster's assembled. Drafts, free agents, all the rest. Doug Peterson, he's the guy, right? The staff, which also gets a lot of criticism, especially the offense coordinator, Press Taylor. And then the players. And I don't know, maybe you could pull out quarterback if you wanted to, but I'm not going to do that for this. Go players.
So basically Trent, Doug, or players.
Trent, Doug,
front
staff,
office, coaches, or players.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do it. Front office, coaches, players.
First and foremost, and I'll disclaim this by saying I thought Trent Baalke was on a pretty good streak after the clown show. I would put Trent first on this list.
Really?
Only because the issues we're seeing late in the season, a lot of them at least, are issues we were talking about last offseason. We were worried about the offensive line in the offseason. We were worried about the pass rush in the offseason. I'm not just talking about your 2 guys coming off the edge who are having a decent year. Any kind of push up front in the middle. We were talking about that in the offseason. We weren't necessarily worried about the secondary, but we knew they were young and had some questions there in the offseason. We just expected Calvin Ridley to be better than he is, and this is why I put players number 2. Guys like Calvin not performing in the way we had hoped to see. Guys like Luke Fortner not taking the step forward in the way we had hoped to see. Guys like Walker Little getting injured. Anton Harrison struggling up front, but coming along. He's a rookie. I'm not sure what the expectation is. Christian Kirk was doing his thing. Travis Etienne was trying to do his thing. Like, really, the offensive line, to me, is almost all of the issue up there. If that line is sound, it's easier to communicate. I don't think you're shooting yourself so much in the foot. I put the players number 2. And I put the coaches, or your example, Doug, third. But he is definitely not absolved of any blame or responsibility here. The reality is, this team is in the worst spot of his young tenure with the Jaguars. He's 2 years in. This is the worst it's been for him, in my opinion, based on where the expectations were and how the team is performing. You're seeing him now come to the podium saying the same thing every week. And the answer just can't be, we're waiting until it comes back together here. Like, you can't just wait it out.
Yeah, I listen, there's blame to go around, right? And what I just put out there is like all the above can't be the answer. Like,
sorry.
It's a four. No, it's fine.
That's what I did.
You explain it. Well, we're going to explain each part and why you might feel one way versus the other way. And the bottom line is, it is all the above. Like, I get it. It's all the above in some way, shape, or form. And really specific to why, like, who are you blaming during this 4-game losing streak? Like, where does your angst go toward? Because that's what it was. I mean, this was an 8-3 football team at one time in first place, playing for a top seed in the AFC, even if we didn't know if they were that good, but they were playing for it.
They were a messy 8-3.
It might have been a messy 8-3, but they were 8-3 Monday Night Football in Jacksonville,
You're right,
playing against a backup quarterback, and since then, it hasn't gone well. And so that's where I say, okay, is that on Balky? Is that on Balky? He helped put a team together over these last 2 years where they went to the playoffs. They were in first place 11 games in this month, playing for the number 1 seed. So why would it be on Balky? Okay, I'll give you the depth, which was a draft this year was all depth. And those guys have been not very helpful. Anton Harrison, been good. Antonio Johnson's come in, made a couple plays. Parker Washington made a couple plays, but also been not so good in other
Antonio,
areas too.
3 missed tackles this past weekend, by the way.
Yeah, and Parker Washington continues to have some mental mistakes, along with some physical mistakes, along with a couple of nice plays. I don't think it's necessarily as much of the draft, although Brenton Strange and Tank Bigsby, I mean, the Bigsby pick I never got to begin with, and it really hasn't panned out. I think this has to do more with the idea of the pass rush, even though I'm not really sure the Jags are losing because of not enough pass rush. I really feel like they're losing on the offensive side of things. But if you want to go to pass rush, I put a lot of blame on Balky here because they had Leonard Floyd if they want. Well, I don't know.
And
if they had him,
Clowney.
but they could have had him. They had Clowney in the building. Floyd has 10.5 sacks. Clowney has 7.5 sacks.
2 last night.
And he's part of the best defense in the NFL right now. And also, I'll give you Calais Campbell. They had him in the building. And this is a guy that likes it here. And he helped wreck that game for the Colts the other day. Helped wreck it. And he'd be awesome at this time of year. I'm not saying he's the player that he was or anything like that, but you had those 3 guys and probably more opportunities, plus a trade deadline, plus everything else to beef it up. And you're really just like, we're good. Well, the bottom line is the last month they haven't been good. Not good enough in a lot of areas.
Can we substitute the word pass rush, which often gets 1-to-1 correlated with sacks, to push? Because I feel like this team has no push. The pocket remains the pocket for almost the entire play on every team.
Yeah, I don't know if I fully agree with that. Like, you take the Baltimore game last week, man, they were back there the whole time. That doesn't mean they got results, but they were back there the whole time.
It's their better game in a long time when it comes to that.
And they're getting killed on the short. Like, this is where we're going to get to coaching in a bit. But, like, they're getting killed on that quick drop, get it out of your hand stuff. Mayfield, Browning. And they've got no answers for it. But, again, I think that's going to come back to the coaching or players' side in just a bit. I'll give you one more on Balky. Here's my biggest beef with Balky, aside from the pass rush where you have those guys that are performing well. You missed not being in the game on those guys. Calais would probably impact. Clowney would definitely impact.
Totally.
Leonard Floyd would really impact.
Yes.
Like, really impact. And you also have misjudged your interior. Roy Robertson-Harris, good at times, extended him. Foley Fatukasi continues to not do enough, in my opinion. Don't even really know he's there. Devon Hamilton, a little unfortunate in the Devon Hamilton situation because of what happened. But you're not good enough on the interior. But here's the deal with the Balky part of it. It goes back to the offensive line a little bit. I think Balky, and I think he'd tell you this, he prides himself on the trenches, being able to identify the trenches. In the good times, that's what he built in San Francisco. I believe they thought this offensive line was one of their best positions from a depth standpoint on their team. It's been a miscalculation. The Fortner pick is not panning out. The sheriff thing, I don't mind what he did there, but the bottom line is you didn't get the sheriff. Like, that was almost like a bad luck situation. He's fine, but he certainly isn't like the guy that he was before he came to Jacksonville. They can't figure it out at left tackle and left guard, mainly because of injuries, but they thought they had a bunch of depth at those spots, Aaron. And the bottom line is this offensive line, I get continuity is a big thing, but sooner or later you got to play well. There's just not enough good play on the offensive front. They cannot move people. They cannot run the football. And the other day against the Bucs defense, which, again, I think is pretty average, they couldn't protect the quarterback. So my biggest beef with Balky is his miscalculation of the trenches. And by the way, Doug Peterson today, if we can hear from Doug, Aaron, was asked if the Jags did enough on the offensive line this offseason, and here's what he had to say. This is cut number 7.
I do. Look, we've had our share of obviously lineup changes, right? I mean, Cam was going in as our starter, but had the 4-game suspension. Then Walker's out there, and then Walker goes to guard. Then he gets hurt, and Shatley's back in there, and we trade for Ezra Cleveland, and we move Walker back to tackle, and here's Ezra now playing left guard, and and then bang, here comes Cam back, and so there's been no share of a revolving door, I guess, over there on the left side. So I think we got the right guys, the right guys up front. We just got to get them all playing together, the same 5 guys playing together, and that's where you get the continuity and consistency.
Here's the problem with the continuity conversation is that it wouldn't be such a big issue if the next man up was on the same page as the last guy up. This isn't just a talent thing. If you have a lack of confidence in the guy next to you, a lot of the times they're not doing the right thing on the play. They're either not pulling or moving in the right direction. So that goes back to a preparation coaches thing.
Yeah, let's be honest here, and we know what this is. We're smart enough, and I appreciate Doug. He's not going to publicly say. I mean, unless he thought his job was on the line, which it's not. He's not going to publicly just crush Balky and say, well, yeah, this guy thought that we had the answers and we don't. The revolving door stuff is a fair thing. Like, continuity is a thing on the offensive line. But the bottom line is sooner or later you got to step up and play.
But don't you think if Trevor was in Doug's body, the answer would sound something like, you know what, at the time we did. We thought we did. And clearly we have not.
Yeah, and I think the other part of this is they actually did make one very good move on the offensive line. They did not re-sign Jawan Taylor.
Who's been a disaster.
And they picked up Anton Harrison late in the draft, and it looks like it's a good pick. Looks like he's a good player. Yeah. And it's a way cheaper player.
Jawan Taylor, $20 million a year disaster.
It's really not good in Kansas City.
No.
So, he did make that part right, but for whatever reason, the trenches in general, again, I'll take the 3 middle guys on both sides of the ball, and they're not getting enough from them. Whatever combination it is, they're just not getting enough of the 3 middle guys or the 2 middle guys on defense, 3 middle guys on offense. There's just not enough there for me. I thought that you could argue there was on defense because of what they were doing against the run. But let's be honest, the last month they haven't really done much against the run. And teams right now aren't even trying to run that much against them because they know they can beat them in the pass game. And that comes back to pass rush a little bit, cave in the middle. It can't just be the guys on the outside. In fact, the guys on the outside are one of the premier combos and tandems in the National Football League this year.
Since the bye week, I know the records of the teams they've been playing have been big. A lot of those teams are stout up front. 144 yards on the ground to the Niners. 92 on the ground to the Titans. 91 on the ground to the Texans. 156 to the Bengals. 82 to the Browns, who are on their 3rd and 4th backup in the backfield. 251 to the Ravens, which you claim is garbage time, I guess. And 70 on the ground to the Bucs, who don't really have a premier run game. So I know this team is a stop-the-run-first mentality on defense, and we saw some of that up front in the beginning of the season. Pretty substantial run defense games for the Jaguars, but, man, do they get gouged sometimes.
Yeah, and Aaron, see, it's deeper than that. Like, the numbers are one thing, and that's fine. Like, the numbers support some of this. they're just not a physical football team. Like,
really
if you
not.
watch the Niners and the Ravens play, who are the two favorites to go, you watch the Eagles last year play. Heck, I think even at times, now not on offense, but the defense of the Chiefs plays a pretty physical brand of football, even at the corner position and stuff. The Jags are not a physical football team. Now, they weren't last year either until about December, and then they started to get physical. Where can they find that? They were last year. They're not right now. Can they find it? Why can't they find it? Is that a coaching thing? Is that a Trent Baalke thing? Did he miscalculate? I think the Jags miscalculated a bit on their offensive line and also missed opportunities on their pass rush. That's my biggest blame for Baalke right now. Now, when we come back, let's talk about the coaches and the players side of this. Because, again, there's shared blame. I think everybody would like to see one coach particularly fired. There was a lot of talk saying Doug's not good enough. And I just can't get there. And maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong a lot around here for 15 years. I just don't see how you point to Doug and really the coaching staff in this situation as much as people are. I think it's an easy out with not enough blame on the players right now over this 4-game skid. And that's what we're talking about, this 4-game losing streak. Who's to blame? More to come on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Mild today, a mix of clouds and sun, and still a few showers at times with highs 70 to 75, dropping into the mid to upper 50s tonight and partly sunny and mild tomorrow. Your Wednesday high will be near 75. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Join me today beginning at 5 p.m. on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed.
It's a good time of year to think about friends and relationships, and we appreciate our relationship with the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville, Nimnick Buick GMC. 6 cars from Nimnick since arriving in Jax in 2008. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941, and they can help your family this holiday season. From mobile oil changes to their used car selection, they're the #1 Car Bravo dealer in the Southeast. And how about a new GMC Sierra? Love mine. Save up to $10,000 on select GMC Sierra 1500s. Visit off Phillips Highway or NimnickBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
This December, Total Wine & More has super exciting ways to get some of your favorites at the lowest prices possible. These deals are so amazing, we should probably just call it Deal-cember. Bacardi Rum is $15.99, Kettle One is only $27.99, and Johnny Walker Red Label is only $25.99 when you buy 2 bottles. It's Deal-cember at Total Wine & More, where you'll find what you love and love what you find. Only at your Total Wine & More.
Prices effective on 1.75 liter only now through December 31st. Drink responsibly. B21.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Play a little pool, watch some football, eat wings, and, of course, plenty of adult beverages. Perfect Rack Billiards is the place to be on game day and every day. Now open for lunch at 11:30 on Friday and Saturdays. Daily specials like 75-cent wing Wednesday, $3 draft Thursday, and $3 seltzer Saturday. Pool, darts, shuffleboard in a fun, clean atmosphere at Perfect Rack Billiards. It's your Jags game day headquarters. 10 wings and a pitcher for $20 and a free shot with every Jags touchdown. It's up to the Jags to score. It's up to you to have fun at Perfect Rack Billiards in Jacksonville.
This is Ortho Health Insights, tips for life in motion, brought to you by the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. You are never too old or too young to begin improving your orthopedic health. We count on our knees for everything, from walking to working out and playing sports. Knee pain can be the result of aging, arthritis, athletic activities, and injuries. Obesity is also a factor for knee pain due to the increased stress placed on the joint and can aggravate the symptoms of osteoarthritis. However, exercise and weight loss can delay symptoms related to osteoarthritis. Being physically active boosts the health of cartilage tissue. People with joint pain can benefit from activities such as water aerobics, which puts less stress on the knee. The orthopedic physicians at JOI are experienced in diagnosing the cause and treating your pain. Whether you need a course of physical therapy or surgery, JOI can help. Call 904-JOI-2000. That's 904-JOI-2000. Or to learn more, go to JOI.net. JOI is the official sports medicine provider for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Time to hoop it up and swoop it up with the Ospreys. Men's and women's basketball season is here. They are off and running. UNFOspreys.com for your season tickets. Plenty of options in the beautiful UNF Arena to watch a fun brand of hoops. In December alone, 7 home games between the men and the women. Season tickets, flex plans, premium seat, and suite options are available. Matthew Driscoll and the men off to a nice start. New women's coach Erica Lambert has her team playing tough. It's the busiest home slate in the D1 era. More than 30 games at UNF Arena. Go to UNFOspreys.com.
Celebrate December with Best Bet. We're giving away an incredible $275,000 in cash. Kickstart your holiday fun at Jacksonville and Orange Park with amazing promotions like $500 High Hand Fridays, 12 Days of Christmas, and the $40,000 Guaranteed GoPo 400 Tournament. We have you covered with fun, fast card games like 1-card and 3-card poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and more. New to the game? No worries. Our friendly dealers are ready to teach you the ropes. For all the details, head over to bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Hey everybody, it's Brent Martineau from Brent Friends on ESPN 690. Tune into our high-energy, multi-platform show Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. on ESPN 690 and a variety of video streaming platforms as well. As the seasons change, so do the sports topics. It's football season now, and we're bringing you all things sports weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. And you can tailgate with us at the Duval House for every Sunday home game this football season. Fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks. Hey, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. Did you know you can watch our radio show? Yeah, video of a radio show. Just search ESPN 690 Jacks on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or follow me on Twitter at Brent A.S. Jacks. Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690.
You know, we got 2 games left, and we still control what we get in the postseason, and we got to take care of business these next 2 weeks. I mean, it's really bad though that we've put this on the field the last 3-4 weeks. It's a problem, and you want to be playing your best football at the end of the season, going into the postseason hopefully, and we're playing our worst. So we need to find answers. We got to find answers quick. We got 2 weeks to figure it out. So yeah, I mean, I don't say crisis, whatever you want. At the end of the day, we got to figure it out. And like I said, nobody's coming to save us. We got to go do it. And we got 2 games left, and we'll see what we earn from there.
That's Trevor Lawrence, and again, I'll always give him credit for the words. I mean, he nailed it. I mean,
it's a very naked press conference.
He could host the show with that comment.
The show?
Yeah.
Who are you kicking off?
Nobody. What? Casey's not here. We need a third.
Okay. So we're kicking Casey off.
It's a lot healthier for Trevor if he just hosts the show.
Because then you could be negative with us. Nah, you don't like being negative.
All right, so we're playing the blame game a little bit, right? And part of the reason I went here, I was telling Aaron this, is like for the last 48 hours, all I see on social media especially, which I also know is not everybody, but it's who we interact with quite a bit. Fire, coach. This is fire, bulky. Fire. Everybody's on the fire. Fire, 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 fire. And I just always goes like, man, you guys just must want like all your bosses always fired at work. I never fully get it. And maybe I defend the coaches too much, and this isn't really a defense. I think they come with some blame here. But eventually we're going to get to the players, which I don't know why it takes us so long to get to the players. The players flat out stink right now. Like, this is the same group, by the way. It's the same GM. It's the same coaching staff and the same players that were 8-3 4 weeks ago that went to the playoffs last year. It's pretty much the same team. They won 8 games. They won 5 games in 5 different stadiums, which is not an easy thing to do. They were beating teams that were actually pretty decent at the time, above 500. They were in the mix, and now they've lost 4 in a row, can't find their way, look lost. It's the same outfit.
You know what's funny is you're making the fire the GM people's point.
Why?
They won 9 games last year, made no changes.
Yeah, but they were on pace to win like 11 in the division again.
If you only look at either the last 5 games of last season or the first 6 games of this season, the reality is last year they put in a 9-win season, and they were like, we're good.
Wait a minute. That's not fair, though.
Why not?
That's a 9-win season coming off 2 number 1 overall draft picks.
Sure. No, it was a vast improvement, way ahead of everyone's schedule. But you put in 9 wins if you're the Jaguars and you go, we're good. And then they're going to put in 9 wins again.
Well, then, yeah, maybe 10.
Maybe 10.
And by the way, if they win back-to-back, this is significant. I still think this is significant. And I don't know if they're going to win. I mean, I really don't. That's not me trying to sell you on this. I thought they were going to get to 10 wins. I really did. Now I'm really not sure. And if they do that, they go back-to-back playoffs for the first time in 24 years.
Again,
okay?
Impressive, great
That
accomplishment,
is big. No,
milestone,
big.
Sure, all of it. But if you're talking about who's to blame for the disappointment this year, I think you're making the point for the GM folks.
Well, I made the point that the beef with Balky for me is the trenches, the miscalculation, how good you thought you were on the offensive front, how deep you thought you were, and then defensively, how good you really think you are in the interior, or your stubbornness to not upset the locker room or whatever else to bring in a guy who has 10.5 sacks. Like they had a chance to go get him just like the Buffalo Bills did. They had Clowney in the building. The Baltimore said, hey, don't worry, we'll do this. Thanks. Well, they're the best team in the league right now, and they did it. Why didn't you? Calais Campbell, I still say, why didn't you do it? Like, you could have added to it, and you didn't. You sat pat. So, like, I think you're right. Like, there's blame to be there for that. Is that why they've lost 4 games in a row?
The other part,
I'm
I
not
think,
sure.
is that I think people recognize a lot of this falls on the players. You can't ditch all the players. So sure, after the season, you'll retinker or whatever. But when everybody is out there contributing to the mediocrity, you do need to hold, I think, the coaching staff accountable for something like that.
And that's what we're going to do. So the coaching staff, I think, has their share of blame as well. Right now, I've praised Doug Peterson so much because of what he's done to flip this thing.
Bought him a big sign.
I did. I mean, what Doug did last year, pushed so many of the right buttons, had this team buying in and believing, and got good football out of them. I can't be contradictory here. I can't be a hypocrite. I think Doug, I've said this many times about Doug. If you look at some of his teams and maybe a lot of his teams with the Eagles, you look at last year's team with the Jags, they get better as they go. They play better football as they go. What the hell happened to that? Like, they are not. Like, where did that part go? That was Doug. Like, I was praising Doug for that for really the better part of a year and a half. Like, this is where he really gets it cooking in November and December. Well, the Jags were set up in December to have a big month, and then they flopped. I mean, they've really flopped in the month of December. All those buttons that Doug was pushing, the feel for this team, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it right now. And I can give him some excuses why he doesn't have it. We'll get to the players' part in a bit. But the bottom line is, as a coach, it is his job to also find that, right? And to figure that part out.
Or switch gears or find the left turn, like do something.
And then that goes to the coordinators. Why is this defense all of a sudden that had actually exceeded expectations under Mike Caldwell? Why have they just fallen off the table in this month and getting shredded by Mayfield and by Browning and by Flacco? Their best performance against maybe the MVP of Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, believe it or not. But why is that happening? 15 tackles missed against the Bucs? Are they that slippery? They're not even a slippery team. Like, you're not playing like guys that break tackles all the time. This isn't Tyreek Hill. This isn't Jahmyr Gibbs. This isn't Bijan Robinson. Like, why? They couldn't even tackle Baker Mayfield. What has happened to this defense? They weren't even in the area code of some of these receivers on simple plays. I went into this game thinking, and I'm not an X's and O's guy, all right? And I think Caldwell's had a lot of good game plans. I thought he had a pretty decent one actually against Baltimore too. This was the carbon copy of Cincinnati. Going in, you knew it. Like, Baker Mayfield gets it out quick. They wanted Jake Browning, what? To get it out quick. He has 3 weapons, really, and they can run the ball effectively. They don't run it great, but they run effectively in Cincinnati. But then they had Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Boyd. Well, this team's no different. They have Evans and Godwin and a team that can run it effectively enough. This was the same game plan. And it actually had the same results against the Jags defense. They couldn't stop them. They forced 1 punt. I think it was one, or at least when it mattered, it was 1 punt that I calculated. I mean, you have got to do something better than that. I don't know if it's going to press these guys. I don't know if it's not blitz. I don't know what it is, but you have got to have a better plan to get beat up the way you did against Mayfield on the heels of getting beat up the way you did against the Bengals. I don't know if their plan sucked or their players sucked in this game, but I certainly think some of it is on Mike Caldwell, the defensive coordinator. And then we get to the offensive coordinator, who obviously is getting crushed. And should I start with my defense of him or the hammering of him?
Why don't you do the hammering, because we can wrap the niceties at the end with, hey, lay off.
I don't get the play that sums it up for me on Press Taylor and the offensive play calling is the end around to Ridley.
Yeah.
I almost lost my mind. We sat there in that press box on Sunday, and we watched teams. I was watching with Gene Fournette, and we were watching some of these games. They're all playing out right in front of us. And on like 3 different occasions, teams around the league try this double reverse or reverse, and then maybe even a pass or whatever, like kind of like plays that you saw against Cincinnati. Cincinnati screwed up here in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Twice. They don't work. They do not work. We watch them. Team messes up. We laugh about it. Why do these teams keep trying this? Team tries it. Messes it up. Like it happened like 3 times, Aaron, on Sunday afternoon. And the Jags have a drive going. And the Jags can't block for a normal run. They can't block for the normal running game.
To that point, Delphonic says, my favorite play was the run for 2 yards on 2nd and 22. Set us up nicely for 3rd and 20.
Yeah. I don't know. You never know if, like, Trevor checks into that, too. Like, I don't know that. I don't know that
To your
part.
point, though, like, you're not going to be – you don't run well when it's a designed straight-ahead run. What makes you think you're going to run well taking 3 seconds off of your play by handing it off twice or faking a handoff?
And running 10 yards backwards.
The other way,
Like, if I'm an offense that doesn't block well and I don't have a good running game and we're struggling on offense, like 0 points in back-to-back games in the first half, 0 points? Why would you run a play that starts 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage before it starts to go forward?
Yeah. Oh, maybe he's trying to find the spark.
And by the way, I'm watching these plays not work week after week in the NFL. They have got to be saying some kind of different analytics. They have got to be setting something different up that I'm not seeing. You know why we don't see it? Because they can't set it up because the damn play doesn't work. Is this trying to get Calvin Ridley involved too much? Stop. At the very least, like, run the jet sweep then. At least you're not starting at 10 yards back. Get it in his hands at least at the line of scrimmage. Or do what Kansas City did yesterday. They ran like a wildcat, faked it, but at least you're going forward.
Yeah.
This is a team that right now is going backwards on offense by themselves. They can't line up properly. They can't block properly. They can't catch properly. They can't do anything properly. Everything is behind the sticks. And you create a play on a drive that's actually going forward that runs backwards first. I don't get it. Like that, I don't get. That play to me was like, Press Taylor, what are you doing? I'll give you another one. And this might be this has got to be the operation of Press Taylor and the way this thing has all happened this year, or some of the guys that can't line up, or not everybody's on the same page. The Jags did not have these problems last year with Doug Peterson calling the plays, or at least when we thought.
Giving red meat to the base right now is what you're doing.
But they did not have problems lining up, Aaron. They did not have problems getting the snap off. And this is year 2 of the offense. It should be easier now with all these players back, with the quarterback. Looks like he's in control of it, but he actually looks really frustrated because nobody knows what they're doing, or they're not getting the play in time is my only guess. This is an operation that is very synced up. You got to get the play call in. You've got to get it into the huddle. You got to break the huddle. You've got to assess the defense. You got to get the snap off. Like, there's a lot going on there for the quarterback, and they have a pretty intricate offense from what I understand, and they have new players that are playing in these positions that you probably have to also help get lined up. Is Press not getting this in time? Because on 4th and 8, they took a freaking delay a game. On 4th and 8, they had a delay a game. Is he freezing in the moment? Is he not getting it in time? Like, I don't know. But those 2 plays, in my opinion, I think bring it on all the criticism of the play caller. Because I think that's an operational thing that starts with him. And then it's obviously a play call that makes no sense. Like, I don't know where that play call to Ridley's going.
Then why isn't Doug saying something in that moment? They're all in the headset.
But see, I think they are. Like, I think they are. But are you muddying it up? Is it going from Press to Doug, back to Press, or Doug to Press and then to Trevor? Like, is this a bad game of telephone? Because this is also a Doug problem. Doug set this up this year that Press is calling the plays. Well, it hasn't worked. The offense hasn't been in sync. I'm not even telling you the plays are bad. Everybody else is telling you the plays are bad. I'm not sure the plays are bad because I am going to give you an example of why I think the plays are pretty good. The Jags have moved into opponents' territory 10 times. This was before, I think, a garbage touchdown the other day. 10 times in the last 2 weeks. 10 times they've been on the other side of the field, and they scored 7 points. 7 points on 10 trips to the other side of the field. Is that a play calling thing, or is that your field goal kicker missing kicks? Is that your quarterback turning the football over?
All of it.
Is that, I don't think they call plays for turnover and miss kicks. The Jags can't get out of their own way once they're on the other side of the field. So my point is, they've got to be doing something right to get to the other side of the field. And then it feels like they're throwing up all over themselves, as I keep saying. And I don't know if that's fully on the press Taylor play calling stuff. But in that moment, on the Ridley one, it was. Like, he set them back. That was a stupid call. It made no sense. Made no sense in the time. It was much like his brother made that stupid call here in Jacksonville that gave Josh Allen the pick and the touchdown.
Yeah.
Like, that play call made no sense at the time that it was called. And listen, guys are going to screw up. But the screw-ups right now for the Jags are costing themselves so many points. They are catastrophic mistakes.
Zach Line in the chat has a question. He says, was press calling plays last year or no?
So the story from Doug is that Doug called the first half
of last year,
and press called the second half games down the stretch of the season.
So not the first half of the season, the first half of games.
No, first half of games.
Yeah.
Mostly in the second half. So press was, again, I think this has been all semantics from the get-go. I don't really fully know. That's why I asked Doug Peterson today, would you try to jumpstart this thing and take over the play calling? And Aaron, I think we got that cut. Maybe we can play it before we head to break. The added cut from Doug Peterson when we asked him about, hey, this team needs a spark. Like, look at other teams. Antonio Pierce has sparked the Vegas when they made that change. Carolina's actually played a little bit better since Reich got fired. I'm not even suggesting you fire anybody, but could you take over the play calling just to maybe breed a little bit more confidence or show a little something different than the monotony of failure the last few weeks here in Jacksonville? Here's what Doug had to say.
The one thing that I know, being around this league, look, everybody wants to point the finger at somewhere, and you know, we've got to do a better job at taking care of the football. It's not about the plays. It's not about all the, you know, we've got to tackle better and we got to take care of the football. Bottom line, we do those two things. Those give us a chance to win football games. If we don't, then we're going to be sitting here, you know, talking about this again. So to me, that's the glaring differences right now between winning and losing.
Like, I don't think Doug's that wrong. They are last in the league in every turnover category here in the month of December, or close to it. Like, I really don't think that's wrong. The missed tackles, yeah, I guess that's on players.
Awful.
Right? I mean, but I also think a shot in the arm somewhere along the way, again, get the defibrillator out here in Jacksonville, shock the world somewhere in that building. You can't just keep doing the same stuff and hope it works.
It is a little bit abstract. It's tough. Just to do a little bit of empathy here, it's like you're looking at the coach, you got to do something. And then, you know, what is that answer? What would I do? What would you do? We have no idea. Like, it's not a defined thing.
I can see why he doesn't want to panic, right? He doesn't want to panic. And again, he might be at the benefit of the doubt this week because they got a bad football team coming in. And maybe that's really the answer.
Unless something bad
And by the way,
on.
if you win, then everything can change in a heartbeat. Doesn't matter if you beat a JV team.
Doesn't matter.
Just get that winning feeling back.
Yeah.
Might actually help.
Get on a little run.
All right, so the last people to blame, I know this is always last. Maybe the people that are, like, doing the playing? How about the players? Should they get any blame around here? Next on ESPN 690. From selling out of the back of a car to one of the biggest outfitters in the Southeast, Baker Sports is quite the story. And on a daily basis, they are helping you write your story with a high school name or sports team across a uniform and so much more. And now it's a one-stop shop with Baker Sports, carrying Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. They already make you look good, and now they can help you look better than ever. Baker Sports, custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team, and it's easy to do at bakersport.com.
As the seasons change, one thing remains the same: Jacksonville and all of Northeast Florida are fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks. If you spot ESPN 690 anywhere in the community, come hang with us and grab an ice-cold Celsius.
Celebrate December with Best Bet. We're giving away an incredible $275,000 in cash. Kickstart your holiday fun at Jacksonville and Orange Park with amazing promotions like $500 high-hand Fridays, 12 days of Christmas, and the $40,000 Guarantee GoPo 400 tournament. We have you covered with fun, fast card games like 1-card and 3-card poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and more. New to the game? No worries. Our friendly dealers are ready to teach you the ropes. For all the details, head over to bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
It's a good time of year to think about friends and relationships, and we appreciate our relationship with the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville, Nimnick Buick GMC. 6 cars from Nimnick since arriving in Jacks in 2008. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941, and they can help your family this holiday season. From mobile oil changes to their used car selection, they're the #1 Car Bravo dealer in the Southeast. And how about a new GMC Sierra? Love mine. Save up to $10,000 on select GMC Sierra 1500s. Visit off Phillips Highway or NimnickBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
I'm Mark Anajar. I'm Glenn Levine. I'm Ellie Anajar. And we're Anajar and Levine. Experience the Anajar and Levine difference by calling us with any of your legal needs. Call 1-800-747-FREE for a free consultation and take back control of your life.
Main office, Jacksonville. This is Ortho Health Insights. Tips for life in motion brought to you by the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Hand and wrist pain is often caused by daily activities and overuse. One of the most common conditions is carpal tunnel syndrome. The symptoms of carpal tunnel syndrome can include numbness, tingling, burning, pain, or a loss of strength. JOI has innovative treatment and surgical strategies for carpal tunnel syndrome. The team at JOI can treat other hand, wrist, and finger conditions and injuries like fractures, sprains, dislocations, and arthritis. The orthopedic physicians at JOI are experienced in diagnosing the cause and treating your pain. Whether you need a course of physical therapy or surgery, JOI can help. Call 904-JOI-2000. That's 904-JOI-2000. Or learn more at JOI.net. JOI is the official sports medicine provider for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Play a little pool, watch some football, eat wings, and, of course, plenty of adult beverages. Perfect Rack Billiards is the place to be on game day and every day. Now open for lunch at 11:30 on Friday and Saturdays. Daily specials like 75-cent Wing Wednesday, $3 Draft Thursday, and $3 Seltzer Saturday. Pool, darts, shuffleboard in a fun, clean atmosphere at Perfect Rack Billiards. It's your Jags game day headquarters. 10 wings and a pitcher for $20 and a free shot with every Jags touchdown. It's up to the Jags to score. It's up to you to have fun at Perfect Rack Billiards in Jacksonville.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Start learning a new language today at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet. Now open in St. Augustine.
Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690. And you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. All right, blame game to be continued because we got like 1 minute here. But top of the hour, football at 5, we're definitely going. We've already done the GM and the coaching staff. It's now to the players.
Did you get to like the good Press Taylor part? Kind of gave him a little bit of a beating last. You said you're gonna close it out with a good part.
I don't know. Did I ever get to that part?
I don't remember. I don't think you did.
My defense of Press Taylor is this. This is where I was going with it. It's very much like, do you think Andy Reid's a bad play caller yesterday watching that game? I think they have a lot of the same problems. Their offensive line can't run block. Now, in yesterday's game, okay?
Yeah.
They couldn't run the ball. They were getting dominated at the point of attack. They didn't protect Mahomes well yesterday. Jags haven't protected Trevor super great. The receivers, no separation. Like, it looked like nothing was open for Mahomes yesterday. And we've seen the stats on separation for the Jags receivers. Hasn't been great. So where do you go? Like, what do you lean on that you're good at? Like, what do you come back to help your quarterback out? Play action? Well, is anybody biting on play action when you run for like 2.8 yards a carry?
12 yards for the game.
So I don't know if he has a lot of places to lean on and feel good about and go and then set things up. And again, Andy Reid is a terrific play caller, right? And Kansas City's been awesome. But they weren't yesterday. And when you see that unfold, it looked very Jags-like. If you can't block, you've got problems in the run game and the pass game. And it really sets up your offense, I think, for failure. And your quarterback for failure. And by the way, Mahomes is a better quarterback than Trevor. And he couldn't do anything. So I don't really know if there's that much. I guess that's my defense of it. It's like, you got to figure something out that you can do with success. And that's really why I hammered him going backwards on the Ridley play. And once you get success going, don't do something negative. Keep going forward. But that's it. It's kind of it's a light defense in that regard of a guy like Press Taylor. I think it's a hard gig when nothing's working, much like Trevor. I don't think Trevor's without fault, but I also think it's a really hard job when nothing else is working and nobody's helping you out.
Adam says Doug needs to bench Trevor because he's not healthy. Rely on CJ to manage that Carolina game.
I mean, I kind of get that. I don't think that's going to happen. If he's healthy, he's going to play, which he should. But we'll see on the health of the sprained shoulder for Trevor Lawrence. Football at 5 coming up next. Can we blame the players? Let's try it on ESPN 690. It's old school card collecting with new school breaks. Davoli's House of Cards does it all. Missing a card from an old 1987 baseball top set? They probably have it. Want to join in on a live TikTok break with the hottest new cards? You can do it with Davoli's House of Cards. Stop on by, talk some sports, find your favorite cards for your kids or for you, like when you were a kid. From Trevor Lawrence rookies to Pokemon and more, Davoli's House of Cards on 210. And join their live breaks on TikTok at Davoli's House of Breaks. Discover how good your water can be with a new Kinetico softener and drinking water system. Kinetico's Twin Tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. This month, you can get 50% off a Kinetico K5 drinking water system with the purchase of a Kinetico Premier Series softener. If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and provide solutions that are right for you and your family. Imagine having clean, clear, purified water at your home. No more plastic bottles, no more waste, just great tasting, purified water that you can trust. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. Great financing options for the holidays available. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1428211.
Hey, Bruiser, you ready to do the old holiday shopping routine?
Yeah, I got all the houses picked out.
Alrighty.
Hey, you know I almost feel sorry for these folks.
Don't go soft on me now. That's why they pay insurance.
Okay, so you promise those kids will just lose their bikes for a little while?
Yeah, I promise. Whatever.
All right, then let's sing our favorite holiday song.
Yeah. We're making our list, checking it twice.
Looking for houses with things that are nice.
Bruiser and Browser
are coming to town. We're filling our truck, we won't leave much.
Avoiding those houses that got safe touch.
Bruiser and Browser are coming to town.
Crime does increase during the holidays. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, owner of SafeTouch Security Systems. Our new SafeTouch two-way communicator saves lives and prevents property loss every day. Our average response time is an incredible 14 seconds. Nobody can match our servers or our price. You have my guarantee on it.
Call SafeTouch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license LVA 4188.
It's a good time of year to think about friends and relationships, and we appreciate our relationship with the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville, Nimnick Buick GMC. 6 cars from Nimnick since arriving in Jacks in 2008. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941, and they can help your family this holiday season. From mobile oil changes to their used car selection, they're the #1 Car Bravo dealer in the Southeast. And how about a new GMC Sierra? Love mine. Save up to $10,000 on select GMC Sierra 1500s. Visit off Phillips Highway or NimnickBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
I'm Doug Brown. Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence has a right shoulder sprain from Sunday's loss against the Buccaneers. His status for Week 17 against the Panthers now unclear. The reigning Super Bowl champs are 9-6 after a loss to the Raiders. ESPN's Ryan Clark says the level of concern is high for Kansas City.
When you think about who Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have been as long as they've been together, this team is so far off from that. And we've also never seen this level of frustration from the Kansas City Chiefs stars. And I think that's the part that troubles me the most, because they're in that building each and every day and they know something just isn't right.
Ryan Clark, after an impressive win over the 49ers on the road, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson is now the overwhelming favorite to be the NFL MVP. According to ESPN Bet, Jackson is now minus 180, well ahead of the second favorite, Christian McCaffrey, at plus 450. Vikings tight end TJ Hawkinson will miss the rest of the season with torn ligaments in his right knee. He got hurt Sunday against the Lions.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman from Unsportsmanlike. I just want to wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday and a happy new year. We'll see you in 2024. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Play a little pool, watch some football, eat wings, and, of course, plenty of adult beverages. Perfect Rack Billiards is the place to be on game day and every day. Now open for lunch at 11:30 on Friday and Saturdays. Daily specials like 75-cent Wing Wednesday, $3 Draft Thursday, and $3 Seltzer Saturday. Pool, darts, shuffleboard in a fun, clean atmosphere at Perfect Rack Billiards. It's your Jags game day headquarters. 10 wings and a pitcher for $20 and a free shot with every Jags touchdown. It's up to the Jags to score. It's up to you to have fun at Perfect Rack Billiards in Jacksonville.
Ready to change your phone service? You got to check out Boost Infinite Wireless at boostinfinite.com. You get their low-priced service and a brand new iPhone every year. And Boost Infinite's new technology gives you 3 networks for the price of 1. So you get the best quality calls and data anywhere you are. No one can do that except Boost. Switch today at boostinfinite.com or call 855-55-BOOST. See boostinfinite.com for terms and conditions.
The venue's set. Families coming in from all over. It's our quinceañera. With all the excitement, it may be easy to overlook COVID-19. It's still a risk, and that's why it's muy importante to get this season's COVID-19 shot ahead of time. It helps protect against COVID-19, which can cause severe illness and hospitalization. So let's set the date, vaccinate, and celebrate. Learn about a vaccine option and book this season's updated COVID-19 shot today at schedulecovidvax.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Shacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! Ow! It really hit me.
Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Casey Kurtz. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
I'm angry. I'm not really that angry.
Nah.
I am a little bit angry.
Miffed. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, just
Annoyed. Frustrated. You know how many times Trevor said frustrated in his press conference?
Yeah, a lot.
73 times.
Adam says, been a season ticket holder since 1995. I've seen it all with this franchise. Trevor just needs to realize that he's hurting the team with his perfect starting streak. Take a back seat, dude.
I don't think the streak is the thing.
Yeah, I think the turnovers are more of a thing. Was that picture real, by the way? Have you seen the picture of him getting crushed?
It didn't look real.
It doesn't look real, but I keep seeing it used. Like ESPN used it today.
Well, if ESPN used it, they probably verified it, yeah.
That's a messed up shot if that's real.
Yeah.
But I thought it was like a Photoshop deal.
Very much a smushed face going from 3D to 2D.
It's a violent game, man.
It's a rough time.
I do. Listen, our job's to criticize, look at it, all these different things. I think it's hard. I think when it's I feel like I've realized I've never had an eloquent way to say this, but I feel like the difference between being like, especially on offense, but probably on defense too, being good and great or like bad is where you put that on a sheet. Let me try to illustrate this for you. If you'd put that on seriously, just on a piece of paper, you'd put really good at the top.
Okay.
And on the middle, you'd put good, and you'd put bad all the way at the bottom. But now take your 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and shrink that to like an index card, 4 by 6. And that's actually where I think it goes. I think there's a fine line between being really bad and looking really bad in the NFL and actually being really good.
Interesting.
And I'll give you another example last night. San Francisco. San Francisco's a really good football team.
They are.
They didn't look so good last night. They got their butt whooped.
They had problems in the backfield all night.
They had problems blocking a little bit. They had Trent Williams go down. Their quarterback had either bad luck or bad play at times.
4
right?
interceptions. When Trent Williams goes down, you know it doesn't go well for the Niners.
So my point is, like, I think that's why it can look really bad. And if you go back to the San Francisco Jags game, when you're getting out physicaled and out schemed, I think it can look really, really bad. And the Jags had no answers that day, and it looked really bad. I think what we've seen over the last few weeks are games that, okay, it was a back and forth, pretty good football game from the outside looking in against Cincinnati. Cleveland, you obviously turned it over, it was like 7 plays in that game that changed the course of the game, and it was still, a 4-point game at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then the Ravens game was like, we know what that one was. That was 4 trips inside enemy territory in the first half, no points, which is something that hadn't happened in the NFL in like 2 years. So this great anomaly that led to what looked like a worse loss than probably it even was. But I really haven't been able to put my finger on this one, Aaron. Like, was this just bad performance, bad scheme? Or were you just not ready to play, so you got your ass whooped from a physical standpoint? I don't know.
I find it hard to believe they just weren't ready to play.
Yeah, listen, they're ready to play because that's their job.
Yeah.
But there's a different level. The Las Vegas Raiders were ready to play yesterday in Kansas City. Like it jumps off the TV at you.
Well, they feel like they're playing for something. It's not the playoffs. They're
but the Jags are playing for something too.
Well, that's the point, right? Is like they don't feel like they're playing for something.
Yeah,
that's where you go back to looking at coaches.
I guess. Or players. So, like, what I saw in that Kansas City game was interesting because I'm like, did you see? Were you watching some of that game?
Yeah.
Early they were down. I think they got down. I don't know. It might have been just a 3-0 at the time. I think Kansas City had taken a 7-3 lead before they had those 2 turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And Travis Kelce got the football, and he ran over 2 Vegas guys.
Big play.
And I was like, I looked at that play, and I was like, that's the play the Jags need. They need somebody to go beat somebody up. And Kelce was like, he almost felt the urgency, like, I've got to make a play, and I'm going to go make this happen. And he did that on a couple occasions. Like, he was running with bad intentions when he got the football yesterday. The problem is he didn't get the football like the whole second half. He couldn't get the football. He's even dropping some passes and stuff. He's like, he doesn't feel like himself.
This season, you're right.
He really doesn't look like he can impact the game the way he used to.
Now, defenses can focus on him more this year than in years past because there are very limited options for Mahomes out there.
They can, but did you see the stat in that game, which I was surprised to see? I think it said something like the Chiefs were first in points last year and first in yards. They returned everybody, but they added Rice to their lineup.
Who's supposed to be a pretty decent addition.
From a weapon standpoint. Like they have, like Tony was coming back.
Yes. Marquez
Valdez-Scantling, obviously Kelsey, Pacheco.
Yep.
Like they're all back.
Even Clyde Edwards-Helaire, yeah.
And they're not nearly as good on offense. So what happened? Did the coaching get bad? Did the GM not see it coming? Or are the players just not performing to the level they were? Like, that's my curiosity. How does that happen? How do the Chiefs look lost with a very good quarterback? If you want to debate the quarterback here in Jacksonville, you don't debate the quarterback in Kansas City, is my point. And so as the blame game goes around, how about the players? Because these are the same players, whether you like it or not, and I understand that could be a criticism of the GM, same players that won 5 games in December last year, won a playoff game, stole the division, got off to an 8-3 start this year, bounced back from a 1-2 start, won 5 games in 5 different stadiums, had an undefeated road record. And while they've suffered some injuries, like Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and others, that has a little significance. They've had some guys in and out. The bottom line is this same team still exists. Have they lost 4 in a row because they got banged up? Have they lost 4 in a row because their quarterback has been banged up? I can't just say that's the reason. Their play shows me they stink at football right now. Like, these are guys that are professional football players that I've seen play good football. I've seen that defense play good football. They ain't stopping anybody. I've seen that offense play pretty good football. And they're not playing good enough football right now. I've seen the quarterback play good football. He's not playing good football. So, like, we're in this blame game of Balky and Peterson and Press Taylor and Mike Caldwell. It's like, guys, do your job. Hey, Parker Washington or young receiver or whoever's in as a backup, your job is to be in the book, pay attention in class, be ready to go when your name gets called. That's anybody's job who's a backup, whether that's in high school, college, or the pros. You're a professional athlete. Be ready to go. They had another couple of miscommunication problems on both interceptions with Trevor Lawrence, according to Doug Peterson today. I mean, these guys are playing football. Why can't they play football at least at a good rate? Why are they making these mistakes? And I guess there's an element that you could say coaching maybe not pounding enough, but at the end of the day, it comes down to making the play or not. I mean, this is sports. This is professional sports. You make the play or you don't. And I just don't know how a team, this exact team that made the playoffs, that made a ton of plays last year, maybe they got a little fortunate making some of those plays, that made enough plays to get to 8-3, all of a sudden look like they were a 3-8 team. I don't get how you can just absolve them in this whole conversation of blame. I think they are actually the top people to blame.
It's interesting.
They're not playing good enough football. Josh Allen has had an unbelievable year. He didn't play good enough football on Sunday in Tampa to me.
I think the players could be playing not good enough football and it's still not be more their fault than the coaching staff. I think of the school example, right? If little Timmy stinks at algebra, maybe little Timmy's bad at algebra. But if the whole 8th grade class stinks at algebra, maybe you look at the teacher and you go, are you speaking the right language?
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And maybe you're onto something there. And I think that's where a lot of people are going on the offensive side. They're not coaching them well enough.
It's also the easiest place to go, by the way. Another analogy, not to keep throwing it. I am the analogy kid.
No, I like it, though. I think that's a good illustration because the bottom line is, in your situation, whether it was just little Timmy, you know what parents do these days is they just blame the teacher and not Timmy.
That's right.
Right? Like, that's what they do. And that's what I feel like a little bit's going on in Jacksonville. Like, we're not blaming Timmy or Trevor or others on the field. We're blaming the guys on the sidelines or up in the box.
Yeah, I do think it's the shortcut to getting something to change. Whether that change is positive or negative, I guess, doesn't get determined until after you make the next hire. But if you look at the corporate world, right, if a CEO is told he's got to slash his budget by 25%, what's the first move they usually do? They usually start firing a bunch of people. It's the quickest way to the 25%. Payroll is always going to be your biggest expense. I think the same could be said about the coaching thing. It's like if you have 25 different players or positions, multiple positions you need to address because they're not playing up to the standard, I think the shortest way to get there is a change in the coaching staff, whether it's the right decision or not.
Yeah. Now listen, it's been around the league that there are a couple of coaching changes and a couple of things that have really fired up their teams, that have changed the course. The Vegas is a good example. They're right in the middle of this thing now, and Pierce has done a nice job. So I think it can work in spots. I just really feel like I just feel like this is a player problem, right? Like you've got to make plays. And the Baltimore game to me is such an indication of this. And then I would also say your leadership. Here's the problem with the Jags and their leadership. They have quiet leaders. And I don't know if you need the rah-rah guy, but I do think you need somebody to – like I was going in that locker room against the Bucs, and I was like, it's okay if we see somebody throw something. Like, it might be time to throw something.
As long as it's not at you.
Yeah. But, sometimes, like, Patrick Mahomes, I'll say it again, it didn't end up working. They didn't win the game. But Patrick Mahomes laid into that offensive line. Like, it's okay to get yelled at sometimes. And I think we were starting to see that with Trevor. The teammates were starting to say Trevor was doing a little bit more of that, holding people more accountable.
Yeah.
And now it might be just too many people to hold accountable. But the players aren't playing good enough. I'm not sure. Like, Luke Fortner's not playing good enough. Ezra Cleveland had, 7 pressures. This is a guy that's played the guard position for 4 years in the NFL.
And played well.
And played pretty well at times. 7 pressures, if that is right, too much. Missed tackle after missed tackle after missed tackle. That's on a player. The guy makes those tackles. He's made them this year. At one time this year, they were a good tackling team.
6 hurries and a sack from Ezra Cleveland.
You know when they made good tackles, we gave credit to Tyson Campbell and Darius Williams and players like that.
We did.
But when they missed tackles, we blame Mike Caldwell.
That's fair.
He didn't practice them enough.
That's fair. I'm seeing no one in the chat talking about Foley Fatukasi missing his 3, or Roy Robertson Harris missing, Devin Lloyd missing 3 tackles. You had 9 guys miss tackles.
So I just think it's a weird thing. You've got to me, this really starts with the players. The players making plays, because then there's belief in what you can do. There's direction in what you can do. There's something to hang your hat on from the coaching staff. I asked Doug this question today. I was like, do you not know this football team? Because he might know, or he might pretend like he knows. But honestly, guys, we started this whole day, this whole show with this. I don't know this football team. I don't know what to expect out of them. I've seen this defense play really well. I've seen this defense turn it over better than anybody in the league. I've seen this defense really stop the run. I've seen this defense really give up the run, not get turnovers, and not be able to give any friction to people like Baker Mayfield and Jake Browning. I've seen Josh Allen dominate games, and then I feel like I saw Josh Allen like I didn't see him. Like I didn't see 41 the other day. On offense, I feel like Travis Etienne's your best player or one of your best players, and he doesn't even touch the football. But he doesn't touch the football in part because it's 2nd and 15 because a guy jumped off sides or false start. And on occasion, your play caller messes up too. So, and Brandon in the chat brings up something really interesting. I think there are 2 players on this football team right now, and this is where it changes a little bit. But this has to do with bad luck, but also poor play. I think Zay Jones and Tyson Campbell have had some bad luck this year.
Certainly regression from last year's
a
performance.
big-time regression, but they're battling injuries. They're coming back. They're out. They're coming back. They're playing hurt. They're coming out. There's no rhythm to their season, which I can give them a little bit of a pass for. But they also, really haven't been good when out there. They're really not good. Zay Jones had, a couple weeks ago, 5 catches on 14 targets? Not good. Tyson Campbell looks like a 3rd-team corner when he plays. Not a guy that was going to get a big contract. So that's what I'm talking about. The player, they've got – if that's what you're counting on, we were counting on that stuff as fans. or media or talking about this team that these guys, at least when they play, they're going to play the way we think they're going to play. Well, how many times this year has it happened that the people we thought were going to play well didn't play well? I mean, we thought Devin Lloyd had figured it out, and then for the next 3 games, he looks lost. So it's pretty crazy if you think about it, how this team has just kind of unfolded a bit over the last few weeks. And now the big question is, can they get it back? Like all these things, can they get it back? Can they figure it out? Can you play a clean football game and just see what happens? Right? Can you coach a better football game and push the right buttons if you're Doug Peterson? The one guy that can't change anything right now is Balky. Balky ain't changing anything. He had his chance.
Yeah, his game is over.
Right? His game's over. So now it's up to the coaches to kind of figure it out and push the right buttons and get the right people in play and then the players to play. I mean, that's where we're at. Like, we can talk all offseason about Balky and what coaches they should bring back and everything. Like, that stuff's not changing right now. They got 2 games to go. They've got to figure some of this stuff out if they're going to have any chance. And really, it's not about, like, making a run in the postseason. In Jacksonville now, it's about an epic collapse. This organization has had a lot of failures. A lot. This can't be one of them. Like, they can't lose a playoff spot. I would like to say they can't lose the AFC South, but honestly, they just can't lose a playoff spot. They have got to find a way in, and that's because they get lucky as hell, so be it. They have got to find a way into the playoffs based on where this team was at.
You still got the Colts in the 7th spot, so there is a world in which the Jags would not win the AFC South but still make the playoffs.
Yeah, there are a lot of different things because so many teams are alive. The Jags got a ton of help this past weekend in that category.
But you do have a couple of ascending teams, and one particularly in the Raiders, but Steelers, Bengals still in the mix, and even the Broncos still in the mix. Texans in the mix, but it doesn't look good, right?
Yeah, the Texans are interesting here because they'll get the Titans and then the Colts, and so the Colts and Texans are going to play each other for a spot potentially. But that all depends on what happens. Like, I think the Colts have an interesting game this week. If Vegas plays the way they did against the Chiefs, look out Indianapolis, right? Brandon says, lucky the division's terrible. Here's the deal, Brandon. Most of the AFC is very average. You would call it terrible, but they're very average. The Colts epitomize, I think, what the whole AFC is outside of Baltimore and maybe Miami. Maybe. I mean, they finally beat a good team. So that was a good win. But do we really know Miami's really that different than, say, a Chiefs team? I mean, they still got something to prove. But outside of the Ravens, I mean, it's a pillow fight in the AFC because even the Chiefs don't look that good. I think there will be a lot of people that will go play the Kansas City Chiefs and almost look forward to it right now, which I didn't say that last week.
No, last week you were talking about them winning out.
No, I mean, I'm like, I don't want to go play there, right? I take my chances maybe with a Baltimore.
You laughed at me. I said they lose 1 of 2 games.
You did.
You better give me my flowers.
Actually, didn't I lose? Did I lose a bet with Casey?
You may have. I don't know where he puts these things.
No, I think I did. I'm surprised he didn't
text you immediately.
Yeah,
we need to get him on the line.
I think I owe him $100.
Maybe it's $500.
Wasn't it the coffee for the week?
I don't list. I have the memory of a goldfish. I'm the wrong person to ask, but I will text the man in the break and see if he's going to close.
No. You don't have to text him.
Oh, no.
It's fine. We'll deal with that next
week. Oh, you don't want that smoke.
So apparently we have Kay on line 1. We'll do that when we come back. And I've got some stats for you that I think are going to boggle your mind. They boggle mine. I figured this out. It has just been in my mind for the last few weeks. And I just think it's crazy. Crazy. Like, it's got to be some kind of record in the NFL for the Jags' inability to score points.
You're good at this. Every once in a while you bring a homemade stat with you. I love that.
Yeah, I don't even know what you actually call it. That's why I think it's been hard to find, so I had to go do it myself.
We'll name it.
All right. When we come back, Brent Friends on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690. Becoming partly cloudy tonight with some fog later on as temperatures drop to near 60 degrees, becoming partly cloudy and very mild for Wednesday with highs in the 70s. From the CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax First Alert Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed.
Time to hoop it up and swoop it up with the Ospreys. Men's and women's basketball season is here. They are off and running. UNFOspreys.com for your season tickets. Plenty of options in the beautiful UNF Arena to watch a fun brand of hoops. In December alone, 7 home games between the men and the women. Season tickets, flex plans, premium seat, and suite options are available. Matthew Driscoll and the men off to a nice start. New women's coach Erica Lambert has her team playing tough. It's the busiest home slate in the D1 era. More than 30 games at UNF Arena. Go to UNFOspreys.com.
Celebrate December with Best Bet. We're giving away an incredible $275,000 in cash. Kickstart your holiday fun at Jacksonville and Orange Park with amazing promotions like $500 high-hand Fridays, 12 days of Christmas, and the $40,000 guaranteed GoPo 400 tournament. We have you covered with fun, fast card games like 1-card and 3-card poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and more. New to the game? No worries. Our friendly dealers are ready to teach you the ropes. For all the details, head over to bestbetjax.com. That's bestbetjax.com.
Play a little pool, watch some football, eat wings, and, of course, plenty of adult beverages. Perfect Rack Billiards is the place to be on game day and every day. Now open for lunch at 11:30 on Friday and Saturdays. Daily specials like 75-cent Wing Wednesday, $3 Draft Thursday, and $3 Seltzer Saturday. Pool, darts, shuffleboard in a fun, clean atmosphere at Perfect Rack Billiards. It's your Jags game day headquarters. 10 wings and a pitcher for $20 and a free shot with every Jags touchdown. It's up to the Jags to score. It's up to you to have fun at Perfect Rack Billiards in Jacksonville.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Kinetico softener and drinking water system. Kinetico's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. This month, you can get 50% off a Kinetico K5 drinking water system with the purchase of a Kinetico Premier Series softener. If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and provide solutions that are right for you and your family. Imagine having clean, clear, purified water at your home. No more plastic bottles, no more waste, just great tasting, purified water that you can trust. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. Great financing options for the holidays available. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Kinetico dealer. Florida license number CFC 1428211.
Stay with ESPN 690 for your chance to see and hear our special events in the Farah and Farah Performance Studio throughout 2023. Powered by Farah and Farah and ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Doing a good job in there, Aaron Schachter.
Oh, thanks.
Hey,
buddy.
your Jets, by the way, ended up winning the game.
This is just classic Jets. You're in position to get a high draft pick and do something with it, and why don't we just win a few games instead?
By the way, they almost blew that game.
Of course. Of course.
Did I just asked this. If the Jaguars lose Sunday, might it be the worst loss in franchise history? To a 2-win team with
Panthers?
everything on the line for a fifth straight loss? Doesn't it feel that way?
I mean, it would be maybe the most humiliating loss in franchise history.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
There were probably heavier games where you needed it and you didn't get it. But yeah, that's embarrassing.
Now listen, the Jags collapsed in 2010 when the early years I was here. They were 8-5 and they lost 3 in a row, and fell out of the playoffs. This does feel worse than that. One, because it's recency bias, but also because of the expectation.
Yeah,
the expectation I think was pretty good in 2010 as well, like decent, but not to this degree. And again, when you have a quarterback and a Super Bowl winning coach, like that changes the bar, right? The goalposts move for your expectations. And again, this team was 8-3. 8-3 is different than being 8-5.
Yeah.
They can't lose this game. We'll talk more about the game tomorrow, but can't lose the game. Is Kay still on the line?
He is.
Let's get him. What's up?
Hi. All right. Hey.
What's up,
Happy New Year. Obviously. So this is what I believe. All right. So I feel that during the Cleveland Browns game and this past game, I don't believe Trevor should have played. And the reason being is because he didn't receive all of the reps in practice until that Friday. And even then on Friday, it wasn't like it was like some full padded practice or anything like that, especially coming off of a concussion. Not sure if he's really 100% off of the concussion, but he still was clear to play. But getting that timing down, all of the reps matter. Everything should be fine-tuned, and that's why some of the communication is bad. Some of the accuracy is off a little bit. But it was also dangerous for the simple fact is that you're going up against a team trying to make the playoffs, hunting, and a quarterback who didn't receive any of the first-team reps really until Friday. That was just a bad idea, and that's not on Trevor. That's on Doug Peterson to hold him back. This team right now, the way it is right now, needs a game manager. And we know what a game manager is. A quarterback who will take what the defense gives them, protect the football, throw it away when you're supposed to throw it away, eat a sack when you're supposed to eat a sack. Obviously, the field possession game, get it close enough where McManus can make a 48-yarder or a 45-yarder, right? Accurate passes. Okay, that's C.J. Beathard right now. If we look at the Cincinnati game, C.J. did that. When he had to come in for emergency, we almost won that game. And in his past game, even though it was in the fourth quarter, C.J. took what the defense gave him. He took 2 sacks and covered it with both of his hands. He threw it out of bounds when he was supposed to throw it in bounds. He threw it in anticipation with that touchdown to Calvin Ridley. He has a high IQ. He threw a ball low to Tim Jones in between 2 defenders so that Tim Jones can catch it and not get hit. These are anticipatory, pass perception, high IQ passes. With the state of this offense right now, the way it is, with injuries and all this stuff, we need a game manager. And you're not going to get a game manager who hasn't practiced the whole week and is post-concussion with nagging injuries. And so for me, I think the blame goes on Doug Peterson. And I don't know why the media, the journalists, aren't really like doubling down on these questions with him, with Doug Peterson, because I think this is a Doug Peterson's problem and not a Trevor Lawrence or an offense problem. That's just me.
Appreciate the call, man. Well thought out, and I don't mind your point. I think a lot of people would have been like, yeah, whatever. C.J. Beathard, do you really think he's going to be better than Trevor Lawrence? I get your point. In fact, we raised it the first half hour of the show. The point is, C.J. Beathard, I think, would game manage. When you're a backup quarterback, you wouldn't make mistakes. And right now, this football team tries to, I shouldn't say wouldn't make mistakes. You try to avoid the big mistake. So you really guard against the turnover. You almost try to avoid the turnover more than try to make the play. And so I think what you're saying, was Kay saying there, I think has some merit. And I understand because right now the number one option is you're giving the ball away too much. And so you'd hold on the ball. I also think other people might step up their game. You know, if the backup quarterback's playing and not just look at Trevor to do everything. But the bottom line is this, and this is why I think you're wrong on the Doug Peterson part of this. If you were in Doug's position and Trevor Lawrence is available and even banged up but available and cleared, are you playing Trevor Lawrence or are you playing C.J. Beathard?
I'm playing Trevor Lawrence 7 days a week and then 3 more times on Sunday.
Absolutely you are.
And in Kay's again, Kay had a decent, well thought out point, but you're not going to sit here and tell me CJ's got a higher football IQ than Trevor. in the first place. Like, Trevor is capable of game managing. He just feels like he's got more talent that he doesn't have to. And I get you feel like you need the game manager now. But if you get done with the game against Carolina and CJ is 20 of 23 for 190 yards and every pass is a 2 or 3 yarder to ETN or to Ridley or to Zay Jones, and you put up 12 points and Carolina puts up 20, you're going to wish you had Trevor out there taking a shot downfield.
Exactly. Like, you can't lose. Like, you can, if you lose the game and CJ Beathard plays bad, like, what would that be, right? You're not going to do that. But I get the overall point. The overall point right now is Trevor would play, but Trevor also is the guy that's trying to make up for your deficiencies. Like, he is that. We've been talking about that for weeks. I still think it's his biggest problem is he tries to do too much when he doesn't have anything. He did it on the fumble play. Well, he really got hammered on the fumble play, but he actually should have hit the open receiver. There was a guy open on the fumble. So he tries to do, even the play he gets hurt. I mean, it's 4th down. He's trying to go make a play. I get it. But that's him.
It's the only one trying to make a play.
That is him because he feels like right now he's the only one that can make a play.
And by the way, guys, like, I know it's not the right time to point it out because we're feeling the way we're feeling as a fan base, but you're still talking about a guy in his second year, essentially.
Yeah, but he's played a lot of football. Like, he's a young guy, but he has played a lot of football.
Sure, he's not inexperienced, but you're not talking about a tenure. You're not talking about Joe Flacco able to cover up for the rest of the team's mistakes. Like, he's still learning too.
Yeah, and I think he's got to learn to handle his emotions and his frustrations, and that's kind of where he's learning. That's where I say, like, you know, Mahomes is frustrated. Mahomes sees it. He's like, get the bleeping play call in. He's yelling at guys, but his play isn't careless. His play isn't reckless. I think sometimes in this situation, I think Trevor's play can be a little bit reckless, and I think that's what he's got to avoid. You can't play reckless in the NFL. So, all right, so I got another stat for you. So here's my stat, I think. Let me make sure I get it. I'm trying to tweet it out with the picture. Because look at all the work I did, Aaron.
Yeah, you're really trying to do a lot of stuff at the same time. Wow, that is a Casey amount of scribbling. Right
Yeah, that wasn't scribbling,
The difference is Casey's just writing his name psychotically over and over again, and you're actually doing some work here.
All right, so what this illustration is every game this year the Jags have played, and every time they have made it into opponent territory. Okay?
That's okay.
Now, there's an exception here. If they kneel at the end of the half, or if there's an end of the game scenario against Tennessee where they were just running out the clock because they were up 34-14.
You weren't trying to score a touchdown.
I pulled that one out of there.
Okay. That's acceptable.
And I also don't think I added the last touchdown because I was stopped keeping track of it. So I didn't add the last touchdown against Tampa.
Okay.
But on here, you'll get the moral of the story. On here, 100 trips this year. Exactly 100.
That they've crossed
if my math is correct.
50-yard line.
That they've crossed the 50 into opponent territory, right?
Do you count drives that start past the 50?
Yeah.
Okay.
What I did is I said, how far did they get? What's the furthest they reached into opponent territory? And on a few occasions, that might be the 48, 47, so you might have to punt it away or something like that.
Okay.
But the moral of the story, the biggest thing here, and I don't know what the norm is in the NFL. I don't know if there's a stat that people keep. But on 100 trips, you think you would get points on how many occasions? Like, I don't know.
40%.
No, it's got to be more than that.
Of course, because by the time you're at the 50, you're really only 10-ish yards away from field goal range. Like, what is field goal range for McManus? I guess he's at the fit. Well, not this
You're
year.
basically, I mean, yeah, but you're close to your point.
Yeah.
Depending if you're playing indoors, outdoors, the conditions, everything else.
It just feels like 70 is too high a number.
It does, but they are at 57% of the time they score. 57 trips out of 100 they score.
Man.
Which I don't know if that's good or bad, but the opposite side of 43 times out of the 100 not getting any points seems absurd.
Not capable of getting either in field goal range or nailing the field goal or touchdown.
Okay, so we break it down even more. We meaning me. 14 turnovers.
I love that.
On those 43 empty trips.
14 turnovers when you're in the opponent's side of the field.
Yes. Seems like a lot.
It is, yeah.
8 fumbles and 6 picks, I believe it is. 11 times they have been 4 downs and out. Didn't get the first down. So, like, downs, ends the drive. Like, went for it on 4th and 1, didn't get it.
So it's a turnover on downs.
11 punts, which that one seems reasonable to me. Because,
11
again, if you
seems
get
high,
it,
you're past the 50.
If you get it at the 47 or something like that, you punt it into, get inside the 10.
I feel like Doug's usually going for it on 4th in that area.
7 missed or blocked field goals. 7.
It's a lot.
And so it turns out to be 34 touchdowns and 23 field goals. 100 trips have created 306 points. Now, there's like the one I don't count here is the play to Agnew last week. That was on their side of the field, right? I mean, it ended up being like a 60-something yarder.
Right.
But they don't have a lot of those either. They're not like, I think that was the longest play of Trevor's career, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
So, like, this has bugged me. And so, really, the bottom line is the last 10 trips before garbage time against Tampa, they had 7 points. 10 trips and 7 points. That's amazing. Now, that's crazy. What skews these numbers is Cleveland and Cincinnati in those losses. They actually made 14 trips into opponent territory and scored 59 points. They were getting touchdowns. They had 8 trips in a row where they were in the red zone scoring touchdowns.
That's some momentum.
But they lost both those games.
Yeah.
So there's not like just a super indicator of win or lose, because I brought up before Pittsburgh, Baltimore. They lost. They had 2 situations against Baltimore and maybe not Baltimore, sorry, the Bills in London and Pittsburgh too, where they just didn't score. I mean, how about Pittsburgh? They had 9 trips, by my count, into Pittsburgh territory and scored 12 points. 9 trips. Baltimore, they had 5 trips, scored 0. That's crazy.
It's nuts.
That's crazy. Like, that has got to be an outlier. Now, we're supposed to give this a name. I don't know.
I don't understand how a team gets past the 50 and still turns it over on downs.
Well, I do. Like, Doug's also a go-for-it guy, right?
Well, that's my point. When you're in that area, I know you're going on it on 4th, but, you take the drive I'm thinking of is in the 4th quarter. It's late in the 4th, second to last drive it's the last drive before the touchdown. It's a 10-play drive, and you still turn it over on downs after you've gone 54 yards. Like, you moved enough to get down there.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing. That was my point of this, is they are moving the ball and getting in scoring position. I would call enemy territory scoring position.
Sure.
Now, it's different than the red zone. I understand that.
Or field goal range.
But you're on the verge, or you're in a scoring position.
Second base. Yeah.
What I didn't do here is, it is. It's more second base. I didn't break down how many times they were in the 30 and 40, but it feels like quite a bit. Like, we can, in our minds, see how many times they've screwed this thing up inside the 25-yard line alone.
Certainly in the last 2 games, not putting points on the board with McManus out there.
And again, the missed kicks are a thing now. I mean, he's missed 5 out of 6. And apparently, did they bring Matthew Wright in for a workout? Is that what I saw?
I have to.
Did I miss that somewhere? Or are they joking? I don't know.
It's got to be a joke.
Might be.
I'd feel really embarrassed because I reached out to this guy like 3 times.
No, actually, didn't the Browns? No, Riley Patterson, the Browns, I think, signed to their practice squad because their kicker's hurt. But, yeah, this stuff is like, the reason I did this in part is like I feel like they are moving the football. I feel like they're always on the other side of the field, yet it feels like they just don't score enough. And I don't know if that's on play calling. Are they not calling the right plays? But it feels like 14 turnovers. There's no play call to turn the ball over. There's no play call. So 14 turnovers on that side of the field seems like you're messing up. Like, you're not taking care of the ball well enough. You're missing the details.
The kicking Matty Ice is on the Patriots practice squad with Nathan O'Rourke.
Oh, okay. You'd have to sign. If he's on the practice squad, you'd have to actually sign him. So they were kidding. It doesn't look like they're making a kicker move.
I mean, you brought in Brandon McManus. I'm sure
he's missed 5 out of 6, man.
Yeah, I know. Kickers get cut for that. Riley Patterson got cut for this year.
Like, I actually do believe that the missed kick the other day was really deflating because it was like another thing gone wrong.
Yeah, it was all compounded.
And so it's almost like, yeah, sure, it might boost the other team. But what it does, Remember when, what's his name? Jason Myers. Jason Myers he actually was a very good field goal kicker in Jacksonville, but he would miss a lot of extra points. And you could almost feel like it became a thing. So he would miss an extra point, and it would just deflate everybody. Be like, great, you got the momentum of scoring a touchdown, then you miss the extra point.
Yeah.
You know, if you do that once every 50 times or 40 times, not a big deal. But when it starts to add up, you're like, whoa. Well, I'm telling you, McManus is going to go out there on Sunday, and the whole stadium, I don't care if he's kicking it from 28 yards, is not going to feel good about him making the kick.
Holding their breath.
And it's not just the fans. The people on the sideline. McManus himself. Doug Peterson. Heath Farwell. They are not going to feel good about it. And that's what you've got right now. And that kind of symbolizes the whole team. I don't think they feel good about anything they're going to do when they walk out on the football field right now. And that's a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
Brent Friends on ESPN 690. From selling out of the back of a car to one of the biggest outfitters in the Southeast, Baker Sports is quite the story. And on a daily basis, they are helping you write your story with a high school name or sports team across a uniform and so much more. And now it's a one-stop shop with Baker Sports, carrying Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. They already make you look good, and now they can help you look better than ever. Baker Sports, custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team, and it's easy to do at bakersport.com.
Celebrate December with Best Bet. We're giving away an incredible $275,000 in cash. Kickstart your holiday fun at Jacksonville and Orange Park with amazing promotions like $500 High Hand Fridays, 12 Days of Christmas, and the $40,000 Guarantee GoPo 400 Tournament. We have you covered with fun, fast card games like 1-card and 3-card poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and more. New to the game? No worries. Our friendly dealers are ready to teach you the ropes. For all the details, head over to bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
It's a good time of year to think about friends and relationships, and we appreciate our relationship with the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville, Nimnick Buick GMC. 6 cars from Nimnick since arriving in Jacks in 2008. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941, and they can help your family this holiday season. From mobile oil changes to their used car selection, they're the #1 Car Bravo dealer in the Southeast. And how about a new GMC Sierra? Love mine. Save up to $10,000 on select GMC Sierra 1500s. Visit off Phillips Highway or NimnickBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Hard Rock Bet presents Legal in Florida.
You can bet the game on Hard Rock Bet. No more betting inside your head. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Legal in Florida. It's safe, it's legal. We'll repeat that it is legal. Top rated sportsbook, and it's the only one that's legal.
Get a no-regret first bet up to $100 when you sign up now. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 and over and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
It's old school card collecting with new school breaks. Davoli's House of Cards does it all. Missing a card from an old 1987 baseball top set? They probably have it. Want to join in on a live TikTok break with the hottest new cards? You can do it with Davoli's House of Cards. Stop on by, talk some sports, find your favorite cards for your kids or for you, like when you were a kid. From Trevor Lawrence rookies to Pokemon and more, Davoli's House of Cards on 210. And join their live breaks on TikTok at Davoli's House of Breaks.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey everybody, it's Brent Martineau from Brent Friends on ESPN 690. Tune into our high-energy, multi-platform show Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. on ESPN 690 and a variety of video streaming platforms as well. As the seasons change, so do the sports topics. It's football season now, and we're bringing you all things sports weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. And you can tailgate with us at the Duval House for every Sunday home game this football season. fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks.
Frank, you got to come see my new windows from American Window Products. They're beautiful and they keep the house so cool.
Oh, slow down, Jim.
No, Frank. American Window Products is having a sale right now, and you said you wanted a locally owned business with qualified products and professional installers. Well, American Window Products has all that and more.
More?
Yes, selection and great prices at American Window Products.
Oh, what's that number?
731-2247, a family-owned business since 1981. Check them out at AmericanWindowProducts.com. Call them, Frank.
I'm calling American Window Products right now, Jim.
Time to hoop it up and swoop it up with the Ospreys. Men's and women's basketball season is here. They are off and running. UNFOspreys.com for your season tickets. Plenty of options in the beautiful UNF Arena to watch a fun brand of hoops. In December alone, 7 home games between the men and the women. Season tickets, flex plans, premium seat, and suite options are available. Matthew Driscoll and the men off to a nice start. New women's coach Erica Lambert has her team playing tough. It's the busiest home slate in the D1 era. More than 30 games at UNF Arena. Go to UNFOspreys.com.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet, now open in St. Augustine.
Hi, folks. Terry Norvell here, inviting you to join me and my broadcast partner, Patrick Young, weekdays at high noon for the Young and Norvell Show. Lunch is on you, the most compelling sports talk in the area. Well, that's on us. The Young and Norvell Show, weekdays at noon on ESPN 690.
I had a lot of comments today. Appreciate everybody chiming in. And
thanks, guys.
It's wild. It's a wild time. I mean, Brendan McManus is an interesting story here. In a way, kind of, I guess I've said a bunch of guys symbolize this season, but he kind of does because he was really good. Like we were saying, Money McManus, really good. And now he's not.
Yeah. It's funny how that happens.
But Matthew Wright, by the way, is in for a workout.
UCF's Matty Ice, come on.
But see, this is okay. Like, I don't think Matthew Wright's going to kick for him. But I do think bringing him in, like, this is the stuff I'm talking about. Like, Tyler Shatley, get out there with the first team this week and play center.
You think it adds the pressure?
Absolutely. Why should Luke Fortner keep his job to this degree when you've got another guy that might do it better? At least light a fire under his ass a little bit. Like, that's where, like, I tell you what, somebody comes after your job a little bit, you buckle things up. You pay attention a little bit more.
You don't think Fortner feels that pressure even without the threat of Shatley at practice?
I don't know if it's practice or a game, but why would he feel the pressure? He hasn't played great football, apparently, by every metric. And he's made every start in his NFL career.
But it also feels like he's kind of aware of it. And I think once you're aware of it, I don't think you necessarily need the competition to make you, like, at that point, if you're not putting it together, maybe you're just not going to put it together.
Yeah, you might not. Well, if that's the case, then you're not going to put it together. Then what the hell do they have him in there for anyway?
Now,
right?
That's a good question.
But see, this is what the McManus thing is. I think McManus will be the kicker on Sunday, but if I'm in McManus's camp, I'm like, well, it's 52, 55, 55, 50, 51, 48. These aren't missed chip shot field goals. And by the way, you wouldn't even trot Matthew Wright out for any of these because he doesn't have the leg for it. But I do think it adds some focus, some competition, I think they had to bring somebody in. And I'm glad they did. But McManus sums up their season. He was good. And now he can't do anything right. He's missed 5 out of 6 kicks. It's insane. And what I just said to somebody on social media is like they're confidence killers. Confidence killers. They deflate the balloon. Whatever balloon they have. I mean, it's half filled to begin with.
A little Matthew Wright besmirchment on your part.
Why?
Oh, the guy was 4 of 6 from 50-plus for the Jags. He's 4 of 6.
What was his long? Was it the London game?
56 in 2021.
56. Well, he made the 56-yarder. That was a 56-yarder. I still don't know if you're trotting him out there in all these different situations from 55.
Yeah, I mean, McManus had the reputation of just a monster leg from everywhere, but I hear you.
a lot of people say, oh, this is why Denver cut him. I don't know. The guy was good in the first 2/3 of the year.
He was great.
He was really good.
And for all those people who hate Doug going for it on 4th and 3 from the 47, this was the answer. Someone he could rely on and knock it through the goalposts.
I think it helped him. I can't remember what game was it. Was it the London game against Buffalo where he hit a 56-yarder or something like that? He hit a 56-yarder somewhere, and I was like, see, that's a big weapon. That's a big deal. They got on the board from that area. But when you're missing them, it doesn't matter where you're missing them from. You just can't keep missing them. And they're costly. He really could have – he probably cost the Jags a win over Cincinnati. And he wasn't the only guy, but he cost – that could have been a win or should have been a win. And I don't know if he cost the win over Baltimore, but it certainly didn't help. And you know what? He almost put him in danger of losing the Houston game. People miss that one. Because that Houston game, if he makes it, now they need a touchdown, not a kick.
Yeah.
And they hit the crossbar. Jags have gotten a little lucky this year. And the bottom line is they might get lucky again because they've got Carolina Panthers coming to town. Although I'll say this is not a gimme.
Is there such a thing anymore?
Well, really, I don't know how you can watch the NFL and think anything's a gimme. I really don't. The Patriots going to the Broncos and winning. It says a lot to me on Christmas Eve night, like a Sunday night football game.
That game didn't shock me as much.
Really?
Just because.
I'll tell you what, the Giants played well yesterday against the Eagles.
Only after they took out DeVito. But yes, I think that was more about the Eagles letting the guard down for a little bit.
The Titans went down and beat Miami a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
The Titans can ruin seasons.
And
the Titans almost ruined Seattle's the other day.
Yeah.
They got really lucky, the Seahawks, to pull that one out.
Don't they have one more playoff-bound team to play before the end of the year?
They have Texans and then the Jags.
Oh, yeah. Well,
this place is going to be nervous if that game means everything, which it really at this stage probably will.
Of course.
Here's what I say about it. Sooner or later, too, the Jags have had plenty of help to still be in the mix. They should have probably already iced this thing, but they didn't. So now you got to win. It's not up to everybody else to help you out. You've got to earn it. You got to go get it. That's what the Jags will have to do against Carolina on Sunday. We got another show tomorrow, 3 o'clock, of course. Jags Report live tonight at Sneakers in Jax Beach, 7 o'clock on Fox 30. We get to talk more about, the struggling Jacksonville Jaguars. Have a good night, everybody.
Let's do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Duval!
Have a good night, everybody.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
As the seasons change, one thing remains the same. Jacksonville and all of Northeast Florida are fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks. If you spot ESPN 690 anywhere in the community, come hang with us and grab an ice-cold Celsius.
It's a good time of year to think about friends and relationships, and we appreciate our relationship with the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville, Nimnick Buick GMC. 6 cars from Nimnick since arriving in Jax in 2008. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941, and they can help your family this holiday season. From mobile oil changes to their used car selection, they're the #1 Car Bravo dealer in the Southeast. And how about a new GMC Sierra? Love mine. Save up to $10,000 on select GMC Sierra 1500s. Visit